Yo, 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 what up, everybody? How we all doing? Here is the link to join. Here's the link to join. How we all doing out here? Hello, here is the link to join. Posting that. Okay, I've been doing all. Check that out. I got all my little fancy stuff happening. Oh, let me get this music going on. Which one did I like? I liked Into Space. See, I got my shit ready this time. We're ready to rock it. I'll be right back. What up, everybody? How y'all doing? Good to be here with y'all. Y'all like the music? Y'all like the little thing going on the bottom of the screen? I'm out here getting my stuff ready. What up, Mark? How you doing? Let me make sure I drop the link here. The yard stream link so people can join in. Here's the link to join in. What up, Mark? Mark out here supporting. I appreciate the love. Let me just copy and paste this link out here for everybody. I love this little music right here, copyright free, so it won't get flagged anywhere. You know. Let me go on Instagram, drop the link so everybody can join. I love this. This got a nice beat right here. I'm gonna do a rap to this one day. Yeah, I'm out here yard streaming. That's what I thought my blackness. I could write some mean bars, but I gotta work on my delivery. We out here shooting in these streets. I'm gonna do a rap with all old school guns. All right. We got some folks in here. The link is below. Well, not below, but the thing right here. If you guys want to join, just go ahead. Let me tip it that. I'm getting fancy with the music and everything. Pause. How do I pause this? All right, look at that. We on time today. We out here. We got the little music going on. We vibing. We all set up. The first live last week was wild and crazy, but that's what you expect it to be. I always tell people, appreciate the journey. Not everything is gonna be perfect, so get started. Right? People be afraid to start, and by people I mean myself. Right? I'd be afraid to do something if I can't put 100% into it, which is good. But you also got to know that you're not going to be perfect, so you always got to start somewhere. So we started all jacked up last week. This week we're up and rolling. We're on time. I'm not stuck at the range, and just gotta make progress and move on. I'd like to thank everybody, officially welcome you guys to SFT Safely Honest Gun Show. My name is Pierre, founder and CEO of Solomon Firearms Training and Overwatch Security. We're creating our live streams every Friday from 10 p.m. to 12 to answer any questions that people may have, questions, comments, concerns, any type of ideas or topics that they want to talk about that's related to gun security, anything in the industry. So we're always looking to help people out. People are always asking me for questions and advice and things like that. And I really can't spend all of my day answering everybody's questions. That's why we do have entrepreneur courses, and I'm also taking out this time to give out, free information, free game, right? And so, I want some of my free time. I'm giving y'all some of my free time. I'm a very, very busy man, but I'm making time for my community and an audience that I will have built. Next year is going to be 10 years in business. So that's a pretty huge mark. They say 90% of businesses fail within the first 2 years. And then, no, I think it's 80% of 80 or 90% in the first 2 years, and then like 50% more in under 4 years. So it's a pretty drastic number. And that's because entrepreneurship is, it's hard. So, yeah. So we're gonna go ahead here. We're gonna be opening up the lines for anybody that has something to say. I have one person in here, Ricky Ricardo. What up? What up? We're gonna bring you on here, and this is your opportunity to ask any questions or anything related to the firearms industry. Make any comments, anything that you see on TV that you want to discuss. This will be your show where you will get quality information and you'll get the good stuff. So all right, let's go ahead and bring in Ricky up to the stage. Hello, Ricky. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna unmute you, and then you can let us know what types of questions and concerns you have, and we'll be happy to address the topic that you want to talk about. So go ahead and unmute you now. Oh, I think I already unmuted you. Wait, oops. All right, Ricky, can you hear us?
Hello, my good friend.
Hey, what's going on? So tell us your name, where you're calling from, and what do you do for work? I love to hear about people's, profession and all the different people from different backgrounds that the two-way bring in. I think one thing that people don't realize is that the Second Amendment always brings people from all different types of backgrounds, and because everyone is interested in protecting themselves and their family, so it's always good to hear where you guys are calling from and what you do. So if you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, Ricky Ricardo. I'll just go by my there, but calling from Orlando. I won't say where I work, but I work in distribution within residential, commercial, etc. But my question for you, my friend, is of course we're living in a complex time,
Mm-hmm.
challenges, and of course you have the advocates for the First Amendment right, which is your God-given right to own your weapons and protect your family. And on the other spectrum, you have folks that I guess you would say abuse that right and turn it into something evil in terms of all the increase in mass shooting. And I guess my question to you would be, what's your views on defending your First Amendment rights, but also, part of that First Amendment right is to protect yourself. But how do you protect yourself from those I guess you could say either mentally disturbed folks or people who are just evil and causing so much harm to people with weapons? And I just want to know what's your views on that.
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that question. I think that goes through a lot of people's mind. How do we balance the right to bear arms, and how do we uh, provide that balance for security for everyone else? The first thing that I want to state is that freedom is not free, right? There is a cost to being freedom. So the example that I like to give is that the zebra is in the zoo, right? The zebra, he never has to worry about being eaten by the lion, but animal activists and people in general will know that part of that zebra is missing out on life and it's not living a full quality life. But we also watch, Animal Planet, Nat Geo, National Geographic, and then we'll see zebras being eaten by lions. So freedom is not free. Freedom doesn't come without risk. Freedom comes with a cost. So there is a cost to freedom. So when you trade security for freedom, a wise man said that you deserve neither. You deserve neither security and freedom. So we have to acknowledge that if we are going to be a society where we allow people to be free, then we have to also accept risk, right? So when we're accepting risk, we're understanding that people can do bad things with firearms. Just like people can do bad things with cars or knives, or, you can be negligent in any aspect of life, and then that can bring danger to other people. So we can't eliminate danger, we can't eliminate risk, right? But what we can do is minimize that. And that's where people have the argument of, how do we minimize, how do we find the balance between being able to protect ourselves and being able to protect the community as a whole. I think sometimes people think that freedom is free and there isn't a cost and there isn't a risk, and we're inherently accepting the risk that some people might do bad things. When you're driving on the road, we're accepting the risk that somebody might be a drunk driver and they might crash into your car and kill you and your family. So if you want to get rid of risk by minimizing freedom, I don't think that's a good way to live. And we do have some examples where other countries and societies, minimize risk at the cost of individual freedom. And I think that if most Americans had the choice to go live in those countries, well, they do have the choice to take a flight and go over there. They don't choose to. So I think the first part of recognizing that to be free is not free of risk, I think that will help people navigate that a little bit better. Did you have any comments to say on that?
Well, appreciate the explanation. I think it's a complex and situation. I don't have the ideal solution for it. I think on one end, it's your right to, you know, own a firearm and protect yourself. It's something that we all have done from the very existence. If it was swords, it was swords back then, and then obviously firearms was a choice later on as technology gets better. Now it's nuclear bombs, right? So it goes on and on.
Well, yeah,
So,
we're not advocating anybody to have nuclear bombs. Okay.
but you get the idea. The point of it is to defend, right?
Yeah.
United States and other superpowers, they all have nuclear arms because it's to defend themselves, and that's the purpose of it. I guess to deter, right, any potential of threats. But on the other end, you do have people, um, for whatever reason, mental, there's evil people, or whatever the case may be. They're gonna abuse and take advantage of the situation. But there's no clear cut solution to it. One would say, what, make the punishment so harsh that they'll never think twice of doing it. But when someone is delusional and they're willing to kill themselves, I don't think there's anything you can do to that person to make them feel any worse. So it's complex. Don't know where to go with it, but it's something that obviously, even if you're an advocate for your First Amendment rights, you could be sitting at a restaurant, you could be at a movie, you could be at a bar, and all of a sudden here comes someone. So it's just that constant um, threat to your life, and it's something that, right, we never, you know 10, 15 years ago, you wouldn't think if I go to the movies I may get, someone may come in here and start shooting, right? So um, I guess it's different times, different thing. But again, I don't have a solution to it, but just wanted to get your point of view on that whole situation.
Yeah, I think you made a very good point about people using different means of protecting themselves. So first of all, I like to say that a government doesn't grant you the right to self-defense, right? Every living thing on the planet has a human right to self-defense. and law enforcement cannot guarantee your safety. So therefore, you have an inherent right to protect yourself. Now, firearms just happens to be the best way that you can protect yourself today. But a lot of times, anti-gunners will make it seem as if, guns are the source of violent crime when, long before firearms came in, people had been, killing each other, with, Cain and Abel, right? Started off of a piece of rock, and then you went to a stick, and then we shaped the stick, and then, we beat each other with, pieces of wood, and then we learned metal, and we started shooting bows and arrows, and, we started adding fire to the arrows, and then, we spilled tar all over the battlefield and lit everything up. So human beings have been hurting each other and killing each other long before the era of firearms. So one of the things that I don't like is anti-gunners will make it seem as if human beings just started hurting each other when guns started. So unfortunately, we're a species that don't value each other's lives. And then back in the day, you'd hear of the Vikings and the Christians and the Muslims battling, and you have these whole religious crusades. And if you were an innocent bystander, if you were a regular farmer, you would get murdered. Your wife would get raped, you'd get killed, your kids would go into servitude and enslaved and things like that. So when I look back, I'm like, okay, well, look at this history. People have been hurting people long before. And if you're everyday civilians like we are, then your life would get ruined. So even when you didn't have weapons, whole bloodlines, whole towns were being burned, to the ground. So now I like the ability that we have, the everyday common person has some type of manner of protecting themselves from violent criminals. And firearms just happen to be the best tool. 10, 20 years from now, when we're old and gray, just like we laugh at the old muskets that they used to use, our grandkids will be like, hey, we don't use guns anymore. We got laser blasters, and you'll be in Star Wars and all the sci-fi things that you see. So it's just the evolution of ways that people can protect themselves. But back in the day, the same threat would be the same. You're farming your land, and then some random, bandits come in and they demand, that they take your horses and your hay, and you've got to pay your taxes and stuff. So this has been happening forever, but now everyday people have a way to protect themselves. And if we're focusing specifically on this country, back in the day when it was founded, right, and we're writing the Constitution, the everyday population had the same rights as and the same power as the government. Nowadays, we can't imagine everyday citizens having the same power, having machine guns and airplanes and all these, technological advances. So it's not even equal anymore, right? Now we have a professional army. Now we have a standing army that's always ready to fight. So yeah, firearms is just a tool of today, and the same threats and dangers that existed 100 years ago, they still do today now. But now we can document it. Now we have better ways of saying no, don't do that, and the everyday commoner has a better way to protect themselves against bandits and Vikings, and pick which genocide and conqueror, right? Pick your time period, and then you'll have a conqueror that will come and they'll take over the entire continent, right? And and no one is innocent, right? Anywhere in the world there's a history of conquer. They'd say rape and pillage. Who's being raped? Who's being pillaged? Right? It's the everyday commoner. So I rather take my chances with people having a gun versus Vikings coming through, or any of the notorious, genocide people, Hitler or whatever. And then because a lot of Americans have firearms, you'll hear statements like, "Oh, we would never invade America because behind every blade of grass is an American with a firearm." So yeah, there's pros and cons to everything in life, and it's trying to find that balance. But I don't think that banning guns is the solution, because one, we're already born into a world where there's so many guns that exist, and then banning the firearms is only going to be for law-abiding citizens. If I'm willing to rape, murder, violently assault people, rob people, am I going to turn my firearm in? No. Only the law abiding citizen is going to be turning his guns in and being registered and getting serialized and branded, right? What the government would like to do to us all. And then the criminals will still have firearms. So, no, I'm not going to turn in my guns because we live in a violent world. And as somebody who comes from Haiti, right, I know very well what happens to a group of people when they can't protect themselves. They get violated, they get kidnapped and dragged across the ocean. And then we do know when you stand up and you fight for yourself, you have a chance and opportunity to live free. And life is not without risk. So if you want to live sheltered in your home and never leave your house, great. You'll minimize risks. But also in my classes, we have plenty of break-ins. You could be in your house minding your business, not bothering anybody, and somebody kick down your door and rob you. Or your neighbor's house can catch on fire and their house makes your house catch on fire, and then you get burned alive, right? So even if you don't leave your house, there's danger in life. From the minute that you're born. I watched National Geographic, a turtle is born, and 5 seconds into life, there's like 50 different animals trying to eat it, and it has to run into the ocean for safety. And then there's more animals in the ocean waiting for it. So people that think that life is without risk or that we could eliminate danger, they're living in la la land, and they haven't experienced what it's like to be victimized by criminals, and they haven't studied history to see what happens when an unarmed population can defend themselves, and they don't study history to see how that never turns out well. So I'll take my risk, I'll take my gun, I'll take my sword, I'll take my bow and arrow, and I will do what's required to protect myself and my family. And hopefully we can build a community where we have like-minded, civilized individuals, you know, that don't believe in, rape and pillage and conquest and all that crazy stuff. Anything else that you want to add, or anything? Any comments, questions? Anything?
No, appreciate the perspective. It was good to hear other people's point of view on it. But no, I think you answered everything for me.
Okay, thank you for coming in. And Mark, I know you said you wanted to come in. You have to copy the link. So copy the link, click on that, and it's going to allow you to join into the back room. And then once you get into the back room, then we'll be able to add you. But yeah, we're always here to answer any questions that you have. This is the only space where we're going to talk about politics. A lot of times in the Second Amendment, you'll see it be very politicized. And in the classroom, all we talk about is safety, right? We want people to be safe. We want people to be responsible. We're just talking about the laws and how to do things the right way. But here in YouTube, we give people the opportunity to flesh out those ideas, because in class we never have enough time, right? When people come in, they're like, "Oh, damn, why are we here for 5 hours learning about firearm safety?" And at the end of the class, they're like, "Hey, we need more information." And I'm like, dude, we're gonna be here all day if we kind of talk about everything that's self-defense related. But I always tell people, I'm not focused about guns. I'm focused about self-defense. I'm focusing on my human right to self-defense. And if there is another method that will guarantee my safety and that will protect me as equally as a firearm without the risk, I'll happily trade it in. But right now, there isn't that option, right? Telling a weaker, smaller individual to go box for 3 years to be able to protect yourself, that's not realistic. The good thing about firearms is that it's a universal application, right? So it doesn't matter if you're fat, short, tall, skinny, old, young, right? you get the same effect. If a 90-year-old woman shoots you with a 9 millimeter handgun, you're gonna get the same effect as if a young 30-year-old man shot you with a 9 millimeter handgun. So you get that guaranteed result. Now you tell that 90-year-old old lady go take Krav Maga and boxing and kickboxing, and that's not a reliable method of protecting yourself. So the great thing about firearms is that you get that universal application and you get those guaranteed results regardless of whoever is using that firearm. And then the other aspect to that is that you're not sustaining injury, right? So if three guys break into my house and I say, "Hey, honey, I'm gonna be the protector of the house," and I go downstairs and I fight those three bad guys, and let's say I win the fight, and then I've got a black eye, I'm spitting out a couple of teeth, my lip is busted, and I'm like, Rocky, yeah, I won the fight. Did you really win? No, you got your ass kicked. Now you got to go to the doctor. Can you afford the ambulance ride? Do you have insurance? What's your health insurance plan like? What are they going to cover? You got to take time off of work, right? You've got to recover. Who's providing financially when you're out of work? And you run into these whole series of situations. And yeah, you won the fight, but you're physically, mentally, emotionally, and financially drained through, that physical altercation. Whereas if I have a handgun and those three bad guys, are breaking my house, I could point that gun and say, "Hey, I've called 911. My wife is on the phone. Get the hell out of my house. You want to take that stupid TV? Go ahead. Get the hell out." Now I'm able to protect my family without sustaining injury. And that's the beautiful thing. You get the universal application and you're able to defend yourself with hopefully neither party being injured, but at least not you being injured. Now, if the guy is stupid and he makes a mad dash of a knife and he's like, "Roar, I'm going to kill you," then, you're going to defend yourself. But when you defend yourself with a firearm, the likelihood of you being physically injured is severely minimized because of how effective of a tool that a firearm is. And gun owners are just regular everyday people that want to protect themselves and their family. They're not looking out here to to be here. They just want to protect their piece of the pie. Want to protect yourself and your family. And there's no better tool out there right now than a firearm to protect yourself from multiple assailants, universal application, and without sustaining any type of injury. I think you're muted. Oh, did you Ricky, you muted yourself. Are you all set? Okay. All right, cool. All right. I think Ricky is done. So thank you very much for chiming in. And we're going to go ahead and bring in our next guest right here. All right. Mr. Rogers, how are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
All right. I haven't used this application before. Um,
Do you want to cam up or
no, not at the moment. That wouldn't be good. Not for
Whoa,
most of your
whoa, whoa!
viewers.
What's going on over there?
Nothing we need to talk about. Past my bedtime. Uh,
Oh, late
and
night.
talking about use of force in situations to say when you need to meet lethal force, they vary from state to state. We're from Massachusetts, and I'm sure a lot of people might question like castle law doctrine in Massachusetts and when I mean it's never a good time to use a firearm at all, but what situations rise to that occasion where to say lethal force would be necessary? Is castle law doctrine, is that here in Massachusetts? And, what do you have to worry about to say confronting somebody in your own home? I know there's a lot of really screwy laws, but if you could just a little bit about it and saying, in defending your home with a firearm in Massachusetts, what steps should you take? Um, with to say 911 or having somebody on the line or to warn the intruder or any preparations you have to take before using lethal force. What has to be present in your home?
Okay, first and foremost, right? I always tell people if you're actually fighting for your life, right? You don't want to care about any laws. If you're actually in a fight for your life, you're going to do whatever you need to do to survive that violent encounter.
Yep.
Now, most of the time, people aren't literally in the fight of their life. That's why we have a saying in this profession, right? You rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6, right? So if you're in the fight of your life, you want to bite, you want to claw, you want to punch, kick, stab, shoot, whatever you need to do. And then afterwards, worry about whatever legal ramifications. But up until you get to that point, you do need to critically analyze. Now, a couple of things that you mentioned was castle doctrine, right, and stand your ground laws. So there's been a couple of major cases that we see in the news where these big things kind of come into place. So there's kind of two philosophies that are out there. So stand your ground law, right? The idea behind that is that hey, if somebody, let's say somebody punches you in the face. If you live in a state that has a stand your ground law, right, that state is basically saying, hey, you can punch that person back. If they punch you, you punch them, and then you get into the slugfest and you have the right to defend yourself. The other mentality that the legal justice system will have will be a duty to retreat, right? Meaning that if somebody punches you in the face and you're in a dangerous situation, you should try to get away, or you have an obligation to try to get away. So, depending on the state, they might make it optional or they might make it mandatory that you try to get away. And not only do you try to get away, but you exhaust all your options, right? So you want to be careful and you want to be well versed in the laws that's in your particular state, because if that state tells you that you have to exhaust all your options, and let's say an option was, you can cross the street and run away, and you decide to shoot someone, you may be legally held responsible for that. And you have criminal law, and then you have laws where people can privately sue you. So just because you beat the criminal case doesn't mean that there aren't civil litigation that could be that can be filed against you.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, so when I teach my students, right, we talk about being aware. So the best fight won is the fight avoided. Can you spot the danger, and can you avoid the situation that would require you to present your firearm? So if you're inside the home, that's a little bit harder to do because you're inside the house, you're minding your business, and somebody has broken in, right? So now legally you get a little bit more protection, right? Um, because the bad guy has broken into your house, he's shown intent. Now he's saying, "Hey, I want to kill, rob, rape, murder, whatever, that he's threatening to do." You have a lot more legal protections because you have your family there, you have your children, and oftentimes the bad guy is blocking the egress, the way to get out. So if you can't leave the situation, then now you've met those legal requirements where you try to escape, but the bad guy, let's say you live in a studio apartment, right? And the bad guy's standing in front of the door. Now you can't leave if you wanted to. And depending on your living situation, let's say you live on the third or fourth floor in an apartment complex, you're not going to be jumping out the window to
Mhm.
escape. So now
Yep.
you've met the legal requirements to defend yourself, and then you can use firearm up to the point that is required. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to use more force. So if the guy comes busting through the door with a knife, here's Johnny, and he's screaming, and then you fire one shot and he falls to the ground and the threat is over, then you need to stop using force. You can't walk up to him and be like, I can't believe you broke in my house. Do you know who I am? And bang, 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 you empty the magazine on him. You can't do that, right? Because you're using more force than necessary. So generally in the home, you have more legal protections because you have less opportunities to egress and you're protecting human life. So the only time you can use deadly force is to protect human life. If somebody is stealing your TV, you can't shoot them in the back because they're running away with your TV. Generally speaking, the law does not allow you to shoot people over property. So for the average person, you're not going to be shooting someone over property. Now, if you're part of the Secret Service team and the president dropped the box with the button to, to set off the nuke, then yeah, you go shoot that guy over that piece of property.
You could have some wiggle room.
Yeah, but who, right, is the average person gonna run into that situation? No. So the laws are designed, right, for the average person and the average situation that you're gonna run into. Now, there's a lot of gray area, right? I can create a lot of scenarios where you would be justified to use deadly force or you wouldn't, or it would be hard to tell. So yes, so inside the home, you're generally given more protections than outside the home when you have the means to escape, where they'll say, why didn't you run away? Or like you'll see all the time in road rage, right? When people are arguing on the highway, they'll ask, why didn't you just drive off, right? Why did you get out your car, right? You got out your car and you walked over to his car and then you got into a fight and then you draw your gun. You can't use stand your ground laws because you were the aggressor. You got out of your car, you went over to fight that guy in the other lane that you were mad of. You were mad at because he cut you off. So now you're yelling and swearing and he happens to hit the gym and he's stronger than you, and now you're pulling out the gun to shoot him. You can't do that. The law does not allow you to do that. So you can't be the aggressor, right? If you have obvious means of escape, you have to use that. And even if you have a stand your ground law, I highly recommend that you're in the mindset of duty to retreat because why draw that firearm? Because you can be hit with brandishing. Why
Right.
potentially shoot someone, right? You're taking away a human life. You have to deal with that the rest of your life. Now you're opening up yourself to legal liability. Once you pull that trigger, your life changes forever. Once you draw that gun, your life changes forever because you're on TV. Because now you got the 500 people on the highway. Everybody got a smartphone now. So they're going to have every angle that you can imagine. The guy behind,
Live stream.
yeah, the guy across, live streaming, the police cameras, right? So they're going to get every angle at this. And then you're like, well, he tried to kill me. I walked up to his car and he pulled out a knife. Okay, that was a deadly threat, but then we'll ask you, why did you get out your car? Right? So, yes, did he present a deadly threat? And then he has the right to defend himself too. So he can say, hey, I yelled at some guy and I gave him the finger and the traffic slowed up. And next thing I know, this guy's in front of my car. So I feared for my life. So I drew a knife to defend myself, so you've got to have that balance. So my thing is, I always tell people awareness, right? Spot the danger if possible and get out of there if you can.
Yep.
Because now you're not sustaining injury. You're not discharging your firearm. You're not risking yourself to physical injury or to legal liability. You're not endangering other people's life, right? And then we see all these stories on the news. You see on YouTube, World Star, these videos where people are, they wilding out. And I'm just like,
Yep.
why? Why did you even put yourself in this situation? What was at risk? Why
Ego.
did and that's the thing, you got to ask yourself, what is at risk? What am I willing to give my life for? What am I willing to give my livelihood for? What, you pull a gun and you shoot somebody, that's easily 25 to life.
Yep.
So what am I gonna do 25 years in jail for? Because some guy cut me off and gave me the finger? What? Because some guy yelled something down the street? We have an argument in the gas station over music, right? You gotta ask yourself, what is worth going to jail for? What is worth losing my life for? And if you frame things in that concept, it's gonna make you be a lot more responsible. And depending on the age that you're at, 20 years to life, 20 years is a death sentence. You
Yep.
know,
If you're 70, it wouldn't matter so much.
after 60, because 50, 60, because them prison years are like dog years, it ain't regular years, those are dog years. So you 55, you supposed to be, gearing up for retirement age. You doing a hard 20 in jail. You
Yep.
ain't you ain't the toughest guy on the block. You're gonna be washing, you're gonna be washing somebody's underwear, and then if
Yep.
you don't like it, you're gonna have to fight. And at 55, there's gonna be a lot of spring chickens in jail that are doing life and they got nothing to lose. They're gonna be ripped as hell. So
Yep.
anything after like 50, I would you better be on the straight and narrow, brother. You doing 20 years, boy. Because
Yeah, it's gonna be
that healthcare in jail ain't it. You got no health.
Yeah.
You got diabetes, you got hypertension, right? You got all them things, the ailments that after 50 you start hitting, and you doing that in jail where it's unsanitary and violent criminals everywhere. Y'all are crazy.
Yeah. Keep the gun away.
So yeah, so it's like, did you even need your firearm? Did you need to be there? And then when you look at most of these instances of people shooting in self-defense situations, most of them, the person had an option to get out of it. But they ended up getting into an argument, egos got in, like you said, and verbal altercations almost always lead to physical altercation. So if you
Yep.
want to avoid the physical altercation, avoid the verbal altercation. Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I know I was kind of monologuing for a while. You can go ahead.
No, that's all right. It's there's a lot to think about there, and you covered a lot as you teach to say your attitude and it does need to change. Just a home firearm safety course doesn't even scratch the surface on what happens if that firearm ever has to get used. Nice that you can unload a firearm, but knowing when and how to use it, you can never get enough education.
Yeah, those are different skill sets. Those are different mindsets, right? Building
Yep.
the mindset of a firearm is a tool of last resort. So, do I have other options? I'm only using this firearm because I have no other means to escape this imminent threat to me. And
Yep.
if you haven't reached that point, why are you drawing your gun and why are you putting yourself in that situation where you're going to need to draw a gun?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yep.
the introductory courses, that doesn't, you're learning how not to kill yourself. Right? Hey, you got a gun. Don't shoot yourself. Don't shoot the guy next to you. Don't shoot the neighbor in the apartment across from you, right? You are the biggest danger that you are to yourself,
Yep.
You don't want anybody to be to be hurting themselves. So yeah, that introductory class, and it's really aggravating when people are like, oh yeah, I've had my license for 4 years, Pierre, I want to do executive protection. I go, okay, you've had your license for 4 years. How many classes have you taken? Oh, I took the LTC class. Okay. Have you taken any other class? Oh, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm like, bro, no. And then they get mad at me. They're insulted. They're like, what do you mean I can't do executive protection? Bro, you don't know anything. I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube too. There's a lot of garbage on YouTube. There's, there's nuggets of good information, but I'd say at least half of the stuff on YouTube is the hot garbage. Easily half of what's out there is trash. So no, sir, you're not ready for armed security. Let's get you in some classes. Let's start getting you in the right mindset so you don't go to jail, you don't kill yourself, and then you don't kill anybody else. But yeah, it really irritates me when people call my phone and they want to do these high level things. I'm like, do you know how many things you got to be an expert at to do executive protection? It's so much more than the guns. There are so many logistical things that come into play. So many things that you need to be aware, equipment and stuff. Then when you tell people that they got to get trained on this stuff, they get really mad and insulted. That like, look, bro, can you define executive protection? Go ahead. Let's start with that. Why don't we define executive protection? What does that entail? Right. So you do any minor bit of digging, and then they just start to fall apart. And
Wow.
that's why. No, go ahead.
No, I'm just listening to that part of it because I couldn't define that myself, and I'd like to say I'm somewhat um, I like firearms and had a exceptional amount of training, very good training, by the way. But it's still, I wouldn't know how to talk about executive protection and what it entails.
Yeah, so I tell people if you want to make a living out of something, you think you might want to research, hit that Google. People will Google everything in the world except the shit that matters. It's like, bro, why don't you Google? Why don't you look at some videos? Why don't you come in with some knowledge, have some questions ready? Hey, I did some research and I seen da 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 da. How do I, like at least you come informed, but people they have these crazy ideas in the head of what they think things are. And it's like, bro, you would die. If you were somebody's executive protection, I was a bad guy. Like, I feel bad for your client because you would be taken out with very, very little effort, you know? So it's
Yeah.
for your own safety. When we say, hey, we put our guards through our armed security academy, and it's like we're making you take this training because it's for your own benefit. And then I'll show them case studies. Guys doing security at a bank. It's every day. He's been working there for 6 months. It's boring. He stands there from 9 to 5 until the bank is closed, right? Every day. And then one day somebody decides to rob the bank. They walk in the store. The first thing they do is they shoot the guard. Bang. That's
Yep.
it. Boring day. The boring job that you had all of a sudden was not boring anymore. And you're dead.
Yep.
You weren't paying attention. You were on your phone. You thought this profession is a joke, and now you got a bullet in your skull, and then it's gonna now they're looking for your next of kin. And
Yeah.
that's why I like showing real life videos because it shows you this is what can happen. This is a dangerous profession. Criminals have been around for eternity. They will victimize you and they will not give a damn if you got a family and wife at home and you got all these aspirations and things like that. They don't give a damn.
Nope.
You got to be ready. You're either prepared or you're not. So if you're not ready, then that's gonna be your ass.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Thank you very much, Pierre. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for calling in, Mr. Rogers.
No.
All right, thank you. So we're gonna go ahead and take you off screen here. So yeah, if you want to get into firearms or you're in the firearms industry, education is gonna be the most important thing. Okay, so you want to right, you want to invest in yourself. You want to invest in your education. You want to you want to invest in your physical training, your skills, and your ability. You want to invest in the legal aspect, right? Being able to make good legal decisions. Because sometimes you may have the right to defend yourself, but you understand that the legal consequence, you understand that the legal consequence is going to cost you too much. So you might take on a little bit more to avoid bullshit at the end. So if somebody's yelling at me and they're threatening me and stuff like that, perhaps I may be legally justified to draw my firearm. But do I have to at that moment? Maybe I can get a lower level use of force. Maybe I get pepper spray. I say, hey man, just leave me alone. Now that pepper spray is a non-lethal use of force, and then you can use that to protect yourself and not have that automatic 25 to life risk of going to jail. Now, let me see. I wonder if there's a link directly for YouTube, because I've been giving people my YouTube link, and then I've been giving them the link to go in here. So I know when I go on YouTube, we're live streaming here. Let me see right here. Live streaming here. And that's the link. I'm seeing if there's anything extra. Hey, Anna. Nice of you to join. I appreciate you coming out here. We got somebody in the house. So, Anna, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this thing right here. So basically, we're having an open Q&A. In the future, we will be focusing on particular topics, and then, but for right now, it's kind of an open Q&A. It's kind of a free for all. So I'm gonna copy and paste our Facebook post that we had on Facebook. And then that will kind of help guide you. But basically, people are able to come in, ask any questions that they want about firearms and things like that. And then, God damn. Okay, that's one thing I don't like about the comment section, is that it limits it limits the characters you can put in a message. So my message was broken up into into 3 different things. But yeah, Anna, just go ahead and copy the link. So copy the link that's in the chat, and then you'll be able to hop in, and then you'll be able to ask any questions that you may have. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post the link again, and then that way you can come in and ask any questions or concerns that you may have about about guns or self-defense or anything like that. While you get situated, I'm gonna go ahead and play a little bit of music for y'all. I'll be right back. Let me put that music. I got my stuff together now. Let me see. Hey, copyright free music. I'll be right back. I am back. I like how I'm learning these little things about streaming on YouTube. Got the little music going on and everything. I get my chapstick, brother lips can't be licking them all day. So what up? So like I was saying, link it. I did. The link is in the description. The link is right above your comment. So if you look right above your comment, I dropped the link, and that way you can ask any questions or anything that you have. So just copy the link, and then just follow the prompts. They'll ask you to put in your name and stuff, and that way you'll be able to come in. Them lips feeling moist and juicy. All the girls are like, hell yeah, look at him. So yeah, so Anna, the link that's right above your comment and below your comment, I've shared with your comment. You just click on it, and then it will allow you to hop into the live, and we'll be able to have a chat. So look at this cool thing that I got in Ghana. When this moves, the chickens' heads move around like they're eating, Look at them. Hey. I wish it moved on its own. I like this thing right here. And then I've got another version. Right here. Okay, maybe the circle. Okay, you circle. But yeah, I would like it to just move by itself. But all right, I'm back now. I had to get some chapstick because my lips was mad. Why are you scared? Don't be scared to come in. Look, we have plenty of talk. The rabbit hole of firearms training runs very deep. There'll be plenty to talk about, so you don't have to save it for your podcast. That's funny. And you could come in and you could advertise your business a little bit as well. Why you out here acting scary? Y'all be scared to get on live. Why y'all scared to get on live? That's your opportunity to get your 20 seconds of fame, do your shout outs and everything. Why not let me so yeah. Everybody hit me, not everybody. Hello, Smitty, what up? Trying to have some viewers call in. Come on through. Copy the link that's in the chat, and you could hop in and you could list your questions or comments or concerns. Who is Smitty? This is an opportunity to meet some. I don't know if I would say fans. I don't know. I don't think I'm that popular, but I have thousands of people on social media, and most of them I only know online. So Smitty, do it yourself. What up, homie? Come through. Let me know who you are. What's up? Let's have a little conversation about the Second Amendment. What up, homie? Okay. Just follow the link and the prompt, and then we can chat a little bit. Let's see. So I think something I'm learning is in the meantime, when people are getting ready to come on, find something to talk about to keep the void going. So let's see. If I know who you are, then come online and show me, Playboy. But yeah, so let's see here. All these mass shootings. Actually, I wanna. Oh, this is very political. All these mass shootings and things that are happening, they should be a wake-up call for you to protect yourself and your family. If you are not prepared yet, then you need to get ready. You can't wait till the zombie apocalypse happen and then you talking about, oh, I need my guns and ammo and stuff. Like, you need to be preparing now. So when the zombie apocalypse hit, World War III, or any of that stuff come in, that you're ready to rock and roll. You definitely don't want to wait till the disaster happens and now you're looking for food and water and methods to self self-defense. All right, we got Underwatch. Who is Underwatch Protective Services? Okay, I see you out here. Okay, we're gonna bring you up on here.
What's up, PM, man?
Yo, what's going on, man? How you doing? Underwatch Protective Services. Do you own your own security company?
Yep, I'm in the launch phase right now.
Okay, nice. Congratulations.
I've been hitting you up a lot trying to get the taser training and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. I think I
Yeah.
know who you are now. Yes, you have been messaging. So many people be messaging me. So yeah, so this is part of the reason why I'm going live on Fridays every Friday from 10 to 12, to be able to answer some of people's questions and stuff like that. Because sometimes people will call or text, and like, I've got a million things going on, so I can't sit there and do like a 3-hour phone call or send a million messages. But
Yeah, I feel you.
but yeah, so I remember in the messaging I was talking about our combatives program, right? So that combatives program is helping you understand when and where, right? So if you're using the taser or stun gun, so there's a difference between stun gun and taser. When you're using that, you got to have the legal awareness of when to use it, and that's a different conversation as to how to use it, right? So how to use a taser and knowing when to use the taser and when to use it in the use of force continuum. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that terminology. Like,
Yeah, I'm still learning.
okay, so like I was saying earlier, you gotta invest in your education and training, especially as the owner. You really gotta put in that foundation so you avoid legal action. So if you go and then you tase someone and then you didn't have the legal right to what you call it, to use force, that can open up not only you but your company as well to criminal and civil litigation. And then if you use a taser, then you've got to call, help, because those barbs are going to go in the skin. And then you're not supposed to rip it out. You're supposed to call for a medical professional to get those barbs out. So there's a lot of stuff that you got to be aware of. And that's why I was saying, hey, you should be doing some of this other stuff as well. So that way, when you do have the taser on you, that you actually know what you're doing and you don't get jammed up. Like in our classes, we'll show people, who don't understand the use of force, proper use of force policies, and when you should use things in that use of force continuum, and then they end up getting jammed up. I know everybody wants to do things the cheapest and the fastest way, but you got to ask yourself, what's the branding of the security company you want to build? Do you want to have a nice solid structure, or do you want to kind of fake it till you make it and kind of get by, and you don't want to do it that way.
Right. Now, of course, that's why I was reaching out to you, because I know you was overseas gone for a long time. So
yeah, I was up in Africa. I was living my best life, yo.
Yeah, I know. I seen the pictures, man.
I tell you, I gotta go to Ghana. Them Africa. I don't know what they eating and what they got in that water, but they growing right. They growing right. But yeah, so we also have an entrepreneur business network where we teach people how to start and grow their business. So we always tell, like I said, I talk in the company format. I always tell people, like, my specialty is shooting, right? So that's what I know how to do. But 99.9% of the time, you're not going to be shooting, right? So there's other things that you got to know, like business management, social media, how to get leads, how to get clients, how to maintain them, setting up contracts, legal audits, and people making sure that your contract has the right things to have and what not to have. So there's all these other aspects of of um entrepreneurship and business ownership that you have to be the expert of, or have enough money to delegate that service. Now, I've been in business for 10 years now. So the reason why we have those entrepreneur courses is because I asked myself, damn, if I knew what I knew 5 years ago, 10 years ago, like I'd be a millionaire by now. We're making good money now, but like if I knew that ahead of time, then I'd be so much better. I'd be so much so much far ahead. So now what I've been doing is I've been documenting the process, and I've been creating classes as to, hey, here's how you start your business, here's how you get your lead, here's how you do that. And we're packaging that in the entrepreneur courses. And when we're just part of the group as well, you'll get that support. So we have the Entrepreneur Business Network, where you can be part of the network, where we meet once a month, and then we help each other out. And then I have the classes specifically on how to build your business and grow your business. So I think you'd be a great candidate for both those things.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you could send me the information for that, I'd definitely look it over. I'm always looking to learn and grow, honestly, because I'm like a sponge. I'm new. I mean, I'm not new to the security game. I've been in the security game for a very long time, but as far as owning a security company, it's a whole new ball game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because now you're liable for other people. If you go get an armed contract and Joe Blow decides to shoot somebody over a candy bar, you're going to jail. Your company is going to be liable. So you have to have a good training program in place to say, hey, here's what you need to do. But in order to have a good training program, you need to have that knowledge as well. So all of our guards, we have an armed security academy where all of our security guards go through a training, so that way they know what to do, how to do it in the proper manner. So it limits the liability for our company, it limits their personal liability, and it increases the safety for everybody. So I always recommend people to have a good training program, because your business is your guards, right? So you got to invest in your guards and make sure that they're properly trained, so that way you don't get jammed up, and that they stay safe, and that they feel confident in doing their job too. Now, I'm lucky that I had a military background and I owned a firearm training company before starting my security company, because I could train everybody in house. But if you don't have that expertise, now you're looking to outsource that training to somebody who knows what they're doing.
Right. Yeah, of course. And that's why I was hitting you up about certain things. And you told me you had like a consultation session. I was trying to get in on that, but again, you was out in Africa, so I couldn't get you.
Consultation online, baby. I got an internet connection everywhere. You book that consultation, you earn my attention. You paying for my time. I'm always there. So but you can ask any questions right now. So any questions you got, I got these 2 hours every Friday. Go ahead, fire away. Take advantage.
So honestly, right now I've been working with two coaches. I don't know if you heard of Whitney Miller. You know who she is. She runs the Synergy program.
Okay.
And I've been working with Robert Thompson. He owns Primetime Protective Services. But he got like 5 businesses, so he's just like everywhere with it. But he's a really good instructor and a teacher. So I've been learning a lot from him. I'm still trying to do a lot on my own, a lot of the footwork, getting leads, doing cold calls, learning how to write up proposals.
So is Whitney Miller white chick?
No,
this is American Chef. Okay, that's
no. It's her name on Facebook is like Whit Miller, like WHIT and then Miller.
I was just Googling to see if it can, but it was a white lady that's an American Chef.
No, she's definitely
like her. And who was the other guy?
Robert Thompson.
Robert Thompson.
Yeah, he owns Primetime Protective Services and a few other companies.
Whitney
Big
Miller.
Ma's Kitchen.
Primetime Protection
No,
Services.
I think it's Protective.
Protective Services.
I think.
Protective. Let's see if they passed the Google check, because you can't be out here. Primetime Protective, Robert Thompson.
Yeah, he's like top. He's like one of the top 10 companies in Mass.
In business. Okay. Well, I'm surprised I haven't heard of him, because I'm pretty. Well, okay. Yeah, I've never heard of his company. Okay, well, yeah. So how's that been working out for you? Are you getting the results?
I mean, things are working out. Things are really working out so far. He's been pushing me to do a lot of the footwork myself. Tomorrow, we're actually gonna go walk Newberry Street and like just get me talking to clients, prospecting clients about what kind of services we offer and if they're in need of security services, stuff like that. But I got like a whole spiel that that I go into to grab their attention real quick, and then yeah, I mean I'm still learning, man. It's a lot.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Okay, cool. Well, cool. Go ahead.
I'm trying. What I really want to do is I want to secure my first contract myself. That's what I want to do. If I can secure my first contract myself, it could be small, it could be big. I don't care, but I want to try and secure it myself. I have a couple of leads.
Do you have any contracts right now?
I don't have any contracts right now. Like when I say I'm in the startup phase, I'm like in the startup phase. Like I have everything. Like I just finished my uniforms. I just finished my badges and patches. Like I have a staff on standby, but I mean I'm ready for a contract. I'm still looking for like a good insurance company. Still looking to see how I can get vehicles possibly donated, stuff like that. Like
Brother, you got to come to my entrepreneur class. We're gonna get you rocking and rolling. We're gonna get you some contracts ASAP.
Yeah, I'm trying to get one at least before the end of the year, maybe two.
I can get you one before the end of the year. I got too much work right now. I got too much work. That's the problem I got. I got too much work. Sign up for my entrepreneur workshop, and then we're gonna hook you up.
Yeah. So where do I find that information? Is it on your website?
On our website, yep, SolomonFirearms.com. You go to SFT EBN section. I'll drop it up in the link right there. But yeah, we're gonna take care of you. We're gonna help answer all your questions. We're gonna get you rocking and rolling. Because a business means you're generating revenue. So if you're not generating revenue, then that's a problem. We need you in the game. We need you making money. Because if you ain't making money, I always tell people, if you pay $400 for my class, then you don't learn shit. You don't get shit out there. Go online and talk shit. Go online and talk shit. Like, hey, this nigga took $400 from me, stole my money. I ain't learned shit. He ain't teach me shit. Talk that shit. Go leave a review. Go on Google. Talk, talk your ish. But nah, our classes are, helps you take actionable items so that way you're rocking and rolling. But yeah, there's a lot of things that you need to know and be proficient at in running a security company. So you definitely want to link up with me because I am active in doing that, and I'll help you get you on your way.
All right, cool. Yeah, for sure. I'll be looking into that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, man. It's late. I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning. I'm tired.
Heavy lies the crown. Everybody wants the money, but nobody want to do the work.
Man, it's crazy.
I want to own. You want to be a boss? Boss means you take your job home with you. Boss means when somebody call out on their overnight and you ain't got coverage, you got to get your ass up. You got to roll over and say, honey, I got to get to work. And you got to get your ass up and go. So
yep, I already know, man. I already know.
The thing with security is that you're depending on other people. So when you're depending on other people and they don't do what they're supposed to do, well, you're on the hook.
True.
But yeah, one thing you want to do too, you want to capitalize your company name. So capitalize WP and S.
I normally do. I just wrote it in real quick so I could get on the live, but I normally always do that. I ain't gonna lie.
Okay, all right, because I know right now we small, but catch us a year from now, people are gonna go back and they're gonna be watching all these videos. So you want to make sure you're clear, right?
Can I edit it?
I always tell people embrace the journey, right? Don't feel bad. Like last Friday, I was all jacked up. I'm like, yo, how do I get people on here? I had Zoom, I had YouTube. I'm trying to get people on. So embrace the journey. There's never gonna be a perfect time for you to start your business whether you just gotta go out there. When you start off, you're gonna be jacked up, and then you're slowly gonna get your shit together. Make sure you invest in your education and training, and be organized. Be organized. Write stuff down, because if you're not organized, it's going to cost you money. Now I type and write everything down, because if I don't write it, I'm going to forget it. And then by the time I get the phone call about that thing, it's it's already too late. And at the end of the day, it's going to cost you money. But yeah, hit me up, take the class, book the course. We're going to get you on contract by the end of the year. You'll be rocking and rolling.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna check that out real quick before I lay down for the rest of the night. But yeah, no, thanks for having me on, man.
Hey, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Yo, you all gotta respect the people that started off. We got 2 watchers right now. 2024, we're gonna come back same time. We're gonna be lit. So thank you for coming out here. I appreciate it, and then we'll definitely link up.
All right, man.
All right, brother. Thanks. Cool. All right. Hey, Anna, are you ready? All right, we're going to bring you on stage. Okay. All right, so go ahead and tell us who you are, where you're calling from, and the type of industry you're in, what you do for work.
So my name is Anna. I'm a YouTuber and a influencer on social media, a small influencer. And yeah, I'm from California. Well, I'm originally from Boston, but I moved to California about 10 years ago. And yeah.
Okay, I'm about to say you better still be repping Boston. You gotta rep the bean. Has it been 10 years that long?
Yeah, 10 years.
10 years. All right. What kind of YouTubing you do? You say you own a channel, so we want to out here, do your shout out, plug it in,
1 second.
Okay. We got some babies over there. All right. So that's definitely gonna need for protection for all the mamas out there that got babies, that got a family. You definitely want to be able to protect them, right? You see the world going to shit. So you definitely want to have means to protect your family. Let me check out the comments right quick. All right, let's see. Red Beard. Okay. Hello, Red Beard. Yo, Solomon. What up, brother? He said he took a RSO class with me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoyed the RSO class. We have grown a lot. So if you've taken a class a couple years ago, we are doing a lot better now. We are bigger, better than ever. So thank you. I hope you come back and take some more classes. We offer a ton of our own company courses now. So yeah, we've just been evolving and growing the band. We've got a lot of cool stuff. One of the things that I'm promoting is our combatives program. It's a hand-to-hand combat program. It doesn't matter your age. You can be young, old, whatever. This will definitely help you. If you're a gun owner, you definitely want to tap into our combative series, and that way it helps help you protect yourself and your family and give you options. Okay. But as far as the RSO, I hope you enjoyed the class. You said you did, and I hope you've been putting that into practice, keeping people safe, right? Our two-way rights are being attacked heavily in this part of the country, so we need more people engaged. So people like you who's keeping the range safe, that's a very important job, because guns are fun, guns are cool, but they're only fun and cool when we're safe. So for people that are just starting out and who may not know everything, it's good to have a peace of mind. For people who may not know what an RSO is, an RSO is a range safety officer. So when people are shooting, they're making sure that they're being safe, that they're following all the rules, and that nobody is like accidentally hurting themselves or endangering anyone else. So thank you for taking the class with me in the past, and thank you for keeping our community safe. We do need people like you keeping those fine lines clear, because there do be some crazy things happening sometimes. So I'm glad you're on watch. All right, Anna, you're
So yeah,
back.
I am back. Sorry.
All right, no need to apologize. Being a mom
Yeah,
is an important thing.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a YouTuber and I do mainly lifestyle vlogs, so like day in the lives. And I also am about to launch a podcast. Uh, so
Okay.
yeah, that is what my content is about. And my baby is up.
Go ahead. Let him cry. That is part of life. All right. Let's see. I run two. All right, let's go ahead. Let's check you out, Redbeard. See what you got here. I run two different private range scenarios, and people love to come and learn in a safe environment. That's fantastic, man. When you say a private range, are you working at a club, or do you have something set up in your own house? Because I've seen a lot of people building their own backyard ranges, and they're shooting straight from their porch and stuff. So that's really cool. A lot of my military friends down south, they always brag and they're like, man, we got like 10 acres and we pay $10 a month. And I'm like, God damn, here in Boston, we pay $3,000 a month for a freaking rat hole. So, so yeah, oh nice. Property. That's really nice. Yeah, I definitely gotta get me some land. There are so many things I want to do, but everything that I want to do costs so much money. We are gonna be making a major purchase next year. So yeah. But that's cool that you're able to run the range on a private property. That's the best thing. And then you got an RSO on the line so people can do the training. One of the things that I don't like about ranges here in Mass is that they don't let you do any real training. You can't draw from the holster. You can't fire multiple rounds. You can't do this. You can't do that. I want to see ranges move into an atmosphere when they say, hey, we want you to be safe and do training that's related to real life. And here's an opportunity to know how to do it safely. So instead of just banning something, or to say, hey, here, we found a quality instructor. He presented the course, he presented the material, and we feel that he's safe. And then, now we're gonna show you how to safely draw from the holster. I have so many people who carry a gun and they've never drawn from the holster and practice shooting, and that's a very important thing, because when we do our self-defense outside the home course and we see people, you know, who's fumbling the gun the first time they draw, things under pressure and things like that, that really magnifies in real life. So you want to make sure that you're competent in that. um but yeah, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the class. And I always say, if you enjoyed the class, please leave us a review. Go on Google and leave a review and copy and paste that review onto Yelp. I really appreciate it. So anybody who's taken my classes, those reviews mean a lot. So leave a Google review, then copy and paste it into Yelp, and that would be greatly appreciated. The Mara Healy effect has stifled so many aspects of safety here in Mass. Yeah, I am really not a fan of Mara Healy. That whole thing, oh my God, so annoying. What I do hope ends up happening is that when we legally fight these cases and we win, that it sets the case precedence moving forward. But that happened, July 20th, 2016, and now we're in 2023, and that hasn't been repealed. So people will be like, oh, take it to the Supreme Court, go do this and that, blah 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 blah. That shit takes forever. And there's no guarantee that the Supreme Court will even look at your case. So Goal, right, Gun Owners Action League here in Mass, when they filed the case of Com2A, Commonwealth Second Amendment, shout out to them too. When they filed those cases and stuff, if freaking the Supreme Court didn't choose to elect it as one of the cases that it looked. So we really have to be politically active. We have to make sure that our local governors, selectmen, and all these people, who's asking for your vote, you need to make sure that they represent your ideals and values. You don't work for politicians. Politicians work for you. So you want to make sure that you're holding them accountable. If they're going to give you their vote, if you're going to give them your vote, you got to make sure that they're doing the right thing. But yeah, we definitely got to combat the Maura Healey's. We got to be more organized. Anti-gunners, they really out organize us, they outspend us, they out everything. And we as a two-way community, we need to make sure that we're including everyone in the community and not, fracturing our own two-way community. But yeah, I am definitely not a fan of Maura Healey, and I am not happy that she's governor. Man, that just makes me mad talking about that woman. Talking about that woman just makes me grr. But yeah, that's what happens when we're sleeping. When we're sleeping and we're not paying attention, people will take away your human right to self-defense. So we've got to combat that. We've got to be proactive. But yeah, Redbeard, if you want to hop in, if you have any questions or comments or concerns, go ahead and hop in. Use the link. I'm gonna drop the link again that you can hop in, and that way we can, have a few minutes of conversation until the next guest come in. So go ahead and copy and paste that link. Well, I just copied and pasted it. You can use that link to hop on in. And Mr. Rogers, if you want to come in too, if you want to talk about your business and what you do, you guys are more than welcome to come here and get some screen time. So if you guys are here, I appreciate the love and support. Growing the band. If you haven't liked and subscribed yet, go ahead and like and subscribe and get the notification. Hit that notification bell so that way, whenever we post something, you'll be tracking. So all those logistics and algorithms and all that stuff that everybody be talking about, we got to work those things. Definitely contact, not content, your rep and senator. I want them goddamn grammar Nazis. I hate those folks when they read the entire paragraph that you wrote and they ignore it and then they just focus on that one word that you misspelled. But yeah, definitely contact your local politicians and let them know that if they don't get their act together, that they're not going to be reelected. These people have a job, and unless they feel that fire underneath them to motivate them, they're not gonna want to move. So you got to hold them accountable. So yeah. Anybody in here that wants to come on and have any questions or comments, I dropped the link below in the chat. Okay, feel free to come on in. We will definitely, here's the link right here that I posted in if you want to come in and ask any questions. This is a free for all, right? So this is kind of what's the term? Open gym. This is the open gym moment. Okay, after today, we are gonna be moving every week for a particular topic. So okay, Anna is back. Nice of you to join us. Okay. What up, Anna?
Okay. Hello.
How you doing?
Um, Good. Sorry about that. I am a mom. But I have a question for someone who doesn't know anything about firearms or like nothing. Where would I start? Would I start off with like classes or like
Yes. So what you want to start off is investing in your education, your skills, right, and developing the proper mindset. So a firearm is a tool, is a lethal tool. It has the ability to take away human life. So it demands a level of respect. So what you want to do is you want to invest your time, money, and energy in taking classes and learning how to be safe with the firearm. So that way you don't hurt yourself, right? Learning how to properly handle it so you don't hurt anybody else in the family. You have children in the house, learning how to properly store the firearm, right? Because you don't want
Yeah.
the gun just lying around and the kid, picks up the gun. Unfortunately, we've seen things like that on the news where children find the firearm and they shoot themselves or their family, right? You want to know the laws regarding ammunition, safe storage, laws on self defense, like stand your ground laws, duty to retreat, castle doctrine, shoot, don't shoot scenarios, right? The rabbit hole of firearms and self defense runs really, really, really deep. But when you're just starting out, you just want to be safe. How can I be safe? How can I be responsible? How can I be aware of all my local laws? Because the laws regarding firearms, they vary state per state. So
Yeah. I know California is intense with our laws.
Yeah, Mass in California and New York and New Jersey, we have a competition who can have the worst gun laws in the nation. But like, yeah, California to like Texas, that's a huge difference. So yeah, so you want to know the laws in your own state, and then once you get a good grip of like safety and how to handle the firearm or how to load and unload, and then once you're good with that, then you can start digging more into like the legal self-defense and stuff. But you just want to be
Mhm.
competent. There's so many people that I run into every day, right? They have a gun and they can't name the components, they can barely
Yeah.
load and unload the thing. They go to the range and you look at their shot group, and I'm just like, wow, instead of buying another gun, how about you buy a class to
To
prove,
educate yourself how to use
yeah,
it and
you
what
know,
it is. Yeah.
and improve your skill, and that way you'll be better off because firearms are fun and they're cool, but our philosophy, our principle is that a firearm is a tool of self-defense. So we
Yeah.
use it in the mindset of I want to be able to protect myself and my family. And then after self-defense, you can do things like recreation, employment, and things like that. And then you got babies, so those are reasons
Yeah.
to stay alive,
Yeah.
and those are
Yeah.
to take a life too. Somebody bust inside the house and try to hurt your babies, you gotta be able to defend yourself and them. So firearm is the best tool because it allows somebody who's smaller, weaker, to be able to handle a bigger, stronger, faster opponent. And like I was saying earlier, right, you're not sustaining injury. You can defend yourself
Yeah.
getting beat up, and you can handle multiple assailants. So there's three bad guys that break in your house with that firearm. You can fend off those three bad guys. And most of the time, without even firing a shot, if a bad guy sees you have a gun and you point it at him, most of the time they'll run away. And if they still keep coming, then
Yeah. Yeah.
you're gonna have to stop the threat. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, training, get education. I'm not sure of what part of California you're in, but if you're looking for a black instructor, there's a company called Redstone Firearms. They're in California. They're black owned.
You
Uh,
said Redstone? Let me look it up.
yeah, I'm pretty sure their name is Redstone Firearms. Um, and then I know California is big, so if they're not far away from you, then
Oh no, that's actually it says it's in Ontario. That's like 20 minutes from me.
yeah, so go ahead and
Oh
yeah.
wait, that's not it. That was something else.
Oh yeah, I just seen that they're there. No, that's them.
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
It says Fern Pine Mobile.
no, Redstone. Redstone is
Let me
one.
see.
Is
Oh
one.
no, they're in Burbank. Yeah, they're in Burbank.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I don't even know where that is.
Well, go ahead, Google, right? If you know,
I think that's far for me though.
yeah, but if not, get a local,
Yeah.
instructor in your area, and then just get the training, get the basics, be safe, be responsible, right?
Yeah, I've always been against guns until like the world's been getting crazy. The world has been getting crazy.
Now,
So,
why have you been against guns, if you don't mind me asking? Hold up, think about that. I gotta get my charger, but
okay.
think about that question, and I will come right back. All right, I am back. So, go ahead. Why have you always been against firearms, if you don't mind me asking?
um, because I didn't know much about them. I feel like um the media, I'm trying to choose my words because we're live. But I feel like the media portrays Black people in a negative way when it comes to using guns. So,
That's
yeah.
a propaganda machine. Yeah, if you're black with a gun, you got a gun.
I try to say that in a nice way, but yeah, that's
Well,
pretty
I
much
will
it.
say it for you.
Yeah.
You portrays black people with firearms in a negative light. Okay, if you're black,
Yes.
then you're a gangbanger, you're a
Mm-hmm.
criminal, you're a hoodlum, you're nobody that's doing
Yeah.
good. They don't tell black people that, hey, you can use a firearm to be a security guard, to be a police officer,
Yeah.
join the military, to be
Mm-hmm.
to work in corrections, right? Be on the opposite side of the prison bars, not
Yes.
side,
Yeah.
side. They always make it seem as if there's innate criminality with black and brown people and
Mm-hmm.
firearms. So that's the propaganda machine. That's the racist machine, right? The most dangerous thing in America is a black person with a library card and a firearm. They don't want you to have neither of those because if you read
Yeah.
know your history, you're gonna be an angry person. You'll be very knowledgeable, and they don't want you to protect yourself. So yeah,
Yeah.
that is not by accident. That's why you don't see things like, Boy Scouts in the city and stuff, right? All my friends in the suburbs, my white friends are like, oh yeah, my grandpa's been taking me hunting since I was, a little boy and blah 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 blah. But
Someone said you live in SoCal and don't know where Burbank is. Yes, that is
ooh,
possible because Southern California is very big. And I'm not originally from California. I'm originally from Massachusetts, so I stay in my little bubble, which is where my family is from. So, yeah.
ooh, go up, girl.
Don't know where
Go
Burbank is. Sorry.
up. Shots fired. Hold on.
But yeah.
I forgot the what's that reggae horn sound?
I am from Riverside County. I go to LA County. I don't know where Burbank is. So.
Shots fired.
But yeah,
Damn.
but
Damn,
anyways, yeah.
Daniel. Damn,
He
Daniel.
came at me. Like, but yeah, but that's back to what you were saying.
Daniel,
But
I love for you. Nah.
that is great for you, Daniel. That is great for you. Do you want a cookie? But
Rare. um, I'm not sure who Brother Mozone is. So if you could just drop a quick comment, and then when we get a chance, we'll get back. I don't know who Brother Mozone, but I mean, yeah, I mean, growing up in Boston, the same thing, right? Every time you hear about black and brown people with guns, it's a horrible thing.
yeah.
Why can't we be professionals? Why can't we be gun store owners? Why can't we be, range owners and all this stuff? Why can't we go hunting? Why is it only little Timmy who gets to go hunting with his granddad? Why can't Tyrone go hunting with his granddad, you know? And that's because you got the war on drugs and all this other stuff where they're taking black fathers and grandfathers, right? How many black families have three generations of men in the household? Right? So that's not by accident. But yeah, no, you absolutely right. White corporate America, white government don't want black and brown people to be highly educated and to be armed because we would not put up with the bullshit. So
Yeah.
if you don't want to say it, I'll say it.
Yeah, and also like I grew up with the family that they didn't own firearms, they didn't know anything about firearms, so just being in that shelter, that bubble, I didn't know anything. Having a firearm was like something I just wasn't open to, and I definitely was against. Um, but now as I'm getting older and I have children and California is getting crazy. I'm like, yeah, I think it's time to like look into like learning about, firearms and possibly purchasing one. Purchasing one definitely. And I think in California, I don't even think you need a license or anything. You can just buy one online. I'm not 100% sure. I think you can just buy it online if you're over 18 or over 21.
What
Um,
website? What website? Buy it
I
online.
don't know. I don't know. That's what I was told.
That sounds like propaganda. I'm pretty sure. I'm 99% sure. California requires you to take a safety class. But no, that's propaganda. When people be like, "Oh, it's easier to get a gun than a library card. You can just
Okay.
buy guns online." So I always ask, "Okay, great. What's the website? Where can I
Yeah.
go to get this gun shipped from my house?" So usually, what there's like brokerages online where you'll
Mm-hmm.
get the gun, you'll kind of like reserve the firearm online, and it'll be shipped to what's called an FFL, which is a federal firearms license, a gun dealer. And then when the
Okay.
gun gets to the gun shop, you got to go to the gun shop and you got to do a background check. So once you
Okay.
pass the background check, then you can purchase the firearm from them. But yeah, that's media always talking about, oh yeah, you can get guns online and you can order it like, Girl Scout cookies. So I always ask the question, what website can I just ship the gun to my house and don't have to do anything? No background check, no training or whatever. But no, I'm pretty sure that Cali has a firearm safety class. Um,
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
and then Redstone Firearms, they'll, call them, they'll answer your questions too. I know in Mass, like certain jurisdictions have like live fire requirements and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if Cali, where depending on the jurisdiction, you may have some additional things you have to do. But generally, states and jurisdictions will require a firearm safety course or some type of live fire where they want you to practice shooting or prove that you do know how to shoot. But usually it's like a day or two of training. And I tell people,
Okay.
if you're gonna have this tool that you're gonna use to defend yourself and family, don't you want to be trained on it? Don't you want to make sure that you're doing it correctly? We've seen
Yeah.
people use firearms in a bad way for such a long time. How about you try not being one of those people that hurt themselves with guns? But let me see. Uh-oh. Oh, we got some fire going on here. We want to okay. Yes, Redbeard, we will get you in for a second. Brother Mazoon, I don't know who that is. You say from Mass, okay. I'm from MA and I don't know where it is either. From The Wire. Brother Mazoon from The Wire. Let me see.
I don't
Who
think I've ever seen The Wire.
The Wire is lit. If you haven't seen The Wire, you definitely gotta watch The Wire. Wire Brother Mazoon. Okay, let me see who's on. Oh yes, yes, Brother Mazoon. I remember him. That's funny. Don't make it a racial thing. All gun control is unconstitutional. It is a racial thing, Daniel, because when the Black Panthers started talking about California, when the Black Panthers started to carry firearms in California, that's when they made it restrictive. So there is a historical context behind gun control and Black people. For example, we'll bring it all the way back to slavery. When the slaves were freed, slaves were not allowed to own property and own firearms. Why? Because white Americans did not want to arm the people that they enslaved for centuries. So for a long time, we were denied the human right to self-defense. And also, if black people had firearms when white people and Europeans and Spaniards tried to conquer Africa, because we weren't investing time in murdering each other and mass enslavement. If we had guns, we would have prevented, that um, that trip across the ocean, and we wouldn't have all the resources being stolen from Africa. And now we have black Americans. And it is a racial thing when you have the war on drugs where you're wrongfully um, pushing drugs in certain neighborhoods, then people are catching felonies and having criminal background. Now they lose their ability to protect themselves and their loved ones. So there is a lot of racial discrimination when it comes to the Second Amendment and the human right to self-defense. So is it constitutional? Yes, but we also know that American government, American history have zoomed in and locked in onto black people in particular and robbed them of many rights, including the human right to self-defense. So yes, there
Yeah.
is a lot of racial things with the government and firearms. And there's so many instances that we can call on. Shit, black people get shot when they got a cell phone in their hand. Oh, I thought it was a gun, but then
Mm-hmm.
of a white dude beating up the officer and wilding out, and he doesn't get shot. Why does Tyrone get shot when he has a cell phone in his pocket, but when Billy literally has a gun in his hand, commits a mass shooting, and then
Mm-hmm.
and they buy him McDonald's and have a nice conversation with him. So yeah, there are some racial discrepancies in how black people are treated with firearms versus any other race.
What made you get into the business of firearms and educating people in Boston? Is it because of the lack of knowledge in the Black community about it?
I kind of stumbled upon it. So kind of like you, like growing up in Boston, guns were always bad, bad, bad. So the
Mm-hmm.
closest I ever got to a firearm was playing Call of Duty. And then I decided to join the military because I needed college money. So that was my original reason for joining. I didn't expect that I would fall in love with the military culture. And as I trained, I started getting good. Like I was green, so I started off kind of rough because I didn't know anything. But once I started understanding what I was doing, then I started to do really well. So I kind of just stumbled into it. Then I started doing security. I was doing security at the mall. Then I wanted more money. So, armed security gives you a higher
Yeah.
pay.
Yeah.
Kind of like a career thing, and then I just kind of fell in love with it. And then seeing the actual good, right? So then I researched how to become an instructor, and I started instructing, and then it became more than just doing firearms training because I have a call, hey Pierre, our house got broken into, and me and my husband, we got tied up and put in the closet. Those are real calls,
Wow. Yeah.
and it took the police 45 minutes to get here. So their
Yeah.
self-defense plan was to call 911. They did, and 911 showed up 45 minutes after the bad guys were there and long gone. And, bad things could have happened to them. Luckily, the bad guys only wanted the material things in the house and nothing happened to them, but it could have gone the other way. And I've had phone calls from women when they say, hey, and they're kind of sobbing and they're nervous, like, hey, someone broke into my house and I was violently assaulted. I never want that to happen again. And
Yeah.
and now these people are putting their trust into you to not be victimized anymore because they realize that their self-defense plan of just calling 911 wasn't effective. So once I started to see that it was just more than just shooting, right? I started to see the positive impact that I'm having in people's lives. And, that inspired me to do more and be more passionate. So it kind of turned into, hey, can I make some money? And then it's like, wow, I'm actually impacting lives. So now I
Yeah.
I can create a living for me and my family, and I can, help the world and all the people in it together.
You got messages.
Yeah, so I want to go ahead and bring Redbeard onto the screen. He's been waiting for a while, and then
Okay.
when he's done, if you want to hop back in, you're more than welcome.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Bye.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. And I answered all your questions. All right. Let's bring Redbeard over here. He was actually in here for a while. Redbeard, what up, my man? Are you ready?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Do you want to cam up or are you hiding?
No, 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 no. Sorry. Let me just oh, here it is. Start cam.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Hey, what's up, man? What's going on? Yeah, because I know so many people online, but like you don't know them in
Oh,
real life. So I love
and I took your course so long ago, man. It was me and my buddy Brian, and we did the RSO course, and we just had so much fun. It was just me and him for like the whole day,
Okay.
and it was one of the better courses I've had, and I've had a chance to, since the NRA is the NRA, I've sort of stepped away from it, but just kept all the knowledge you gave me. And I only work with my friends and family as far as like the gun community.
Okay.
And I just try to impart that knowledge as far as like all the safety aspects, 25 meters past, close things, if you're using metal targets, all the stuff that you taught me. And I try to be very strict about it as far as I'm like a very laid back dude. And then people see me get on the range and I'm like, nope, we're putting everything down and we're doing everything right. And they're like, oh shit, Danny's being serious. And I think it's very important to be serious about that, especially in Massachusetts where things feel very much more controlled. And I can't imagine how controlled it feels as someone of a different color than myself. Because the easy pass of being a white guy as far as like owning a gun. Now, my shit's unloaded. Like you can just have your gun with you and just be okay and just like in a normal thing. Now, I come from a family of law enforcement, and I know that's a sensitive subject, but I come from my mom was a female chief of police in my town, first in the Cape and Islands and the longest running in Massachusetts, in fact. And she was fantastic in that regard as far as making sure that everybody was staying up to code as far as being responsible with their firearms. And that's something that I take very seriously. And I noticed very deeply with you how seriously you took it. And that's what really resonated with me. And I just wanted to say that first and foremost. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for taking the class. I really appreciate it. Thank you to your family for their service and keeping the community safe. Um, I know to kind of talk about things. I know the NRA is very political to some people.
Mhm.
And I always tell people, regardless of where you stand on the political spectrum, just take the safety information, right? Just take
Of course. Yes. That's number one.
and then whatever political thing you don't like, then just leave it there.
That's like the one thing they do really well is they just hammer home the golden rules, and they really just like make you tattoo that on your forearm and just really understand that. And that's really the only thing I think that's really the only thing I appreciate from them. Honestly.
Yeah, well, the NRA is a big political
Yeah.
organization, and they share a lot of different emotions and understandably.
And it's tough because like RIP, like with whatever feelings we have with Feinstein, is there's been, I won't, extremism is a hard word to say, but there have been extreme moves on both sides of the gun conversation as far as politics go. And I feel like it's almost that Batman conversation, whereas like, did Batman cause the Joker or did Joker cause the Batman? And there's this sort of ramping up on both sides that's really tough to make peace with as your average gun owner who just wants to be safe. Now, I'm from a slightly more rural area. So as far as police response time goes, If there's something wrong going in your home, that's your problem for about 15 to 20 minutes. Now, as someone with 10,000 times more training than I'll ever have, you know that that's a lifetime of problems. You know what I mean? Even if it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes. So that's a scenario where that goes. No matter what situation in life you are, if nobody's coming, that's your problem. And that's, sorry for the problems that you had, but they say that afterwards,
And that's where you get the saying, when seconds count, police are minutes away. So when that black
Exactly.
guy's breaking in, it only takes a couple of seconds to get shot, to get stabbed, to get beat up with a bat, for anybody to be touched or anything like that. And that's why we always tell people, you are your first responder, right? You need to have a plan that
Exactly.
can protect yourself before law enforcement get there. If you're able to make the call, if you're in an area where you get a quick response time and you're not in a rural area. Some families, you live in an area where there's one sheriff for 500 miles. So good luck
Yeah.
calling 911. You're gonna
Or
be
you could put it in the reverse on a highly populated area where the police just don't frankly care about you. That's your problem. And that tends to be,
or
a
they're
problem for a certain
overworked,
sort of people.
right?
And
Like
that
Boston.
sucks.
Like Boston is so busy, you get so many calls. So you may call and
in Boston, you can't have a gun.
you can, but
sorry, you can.
They don't
you better have
want
earned
you.
it.
Yeah, they want you to think you can't. They want you to think that you can't have a gun, and they want you to depend on them. But if you look at the crime rate in Boston, I'm like, yo, y'all are literally, you can't guarantee people's safety, but yet you're telling them not to have a firearm. But yeah, that's why I always tell people to to make sure that they take charge of their family safety and create a safety plan. Now, we do offer a ton of courses that's not NRA related. So if you do want to continue your education and
I think
training,
that's a great marketing point for you, man. I think it really is in this day and age. The NRA, it becomes this sort of pariah of a name. And what I know you offer is so valuable that sometimes the separation become extra valuable for a person like yourself.
Yeah, and obviously it's not just you. A lot of people have issues, and that's one of the things of our 2A community that I've been advocating among our leadership and our group is to take the politics out of firearms training. Firearms training should only be about safety, it should only be about being responsible and educated, and our advocacy needs to be, we need to be a one issue party when it comes to the 2A organization. But the minute you start bringing other things and politicians and stuff like that, now you muddy those waters. But part of that problem too is that Democrats haven't really given them any options. So like, I'm a Democrat, and then when I say when you say, hey Pierre, name a pro-gun Democrat, and I'm like, so we've kind of forced the NRA to go to the right wing because they don't have
exactly. It's the Batman and Joker argument.
You don't have any options. So if you want them to work with anti-gunners, where do they go to meet middle ground? So one, we have to police ourselves, make sure we keep politics out of firearm safety and training.
I think a really important part of for politicians themselves too is there's this separation in topics. So let's I'm going to take two different parts that are super important to the world. Super important to Americans because the rest of the world doesn't seem to care as much. There's a Second Amendment for Americans, and then let's take another super important part like abortion or something like that. Like body rights. Now, if you try to tell someone about abortion rights, you better know your stuff. You know what I mean? You better be educated in situations. It's even the same with encryption and technology. It's almost any other scenario where if you don't know the topic, you better not speak about it. Now, somehow, in the midst of everything, when it comes to firearms, it seems to be okay for someone who has no idea about firearms to speak on the matter. Now, I'm not saying nobody should be able to, but I'm saying as the course of this country's discussion goes, I think it's important for everybody in the matter to be educated in the subject. Now, if I want to have a voice as far as reproductive rights goes, I don't think I do, because I don't reproduce in that sort of sense. I'm not a woman, so I don't, you know what I mean? Like, that's sort of that thing.
You could identify.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, as far as
Yeah.
like, that's not my body that's housing another life. Or I'm not a cybersecurity engineer, so I don't know about encryption as far as like those securities go. Now, I can't make a lot of that because I just don't have the expertise goes. Now, as soon as firearms comes, people are like, well, yeah, but that's just bad. So we don't have to know anything about it. So we can just say it's bad. And it's like, no, knives are bad if you treat them improperly. They're objects that you lay on the ground and pick up and treat improperly. It's the same way with a firearm. If you take a Modus fully with the headspace set, and you put it on the ground fully loaded, and you let it sit there for 150 years, it'll do nothing but rust. But as soon as the wrong person picks it up and uses it as such, with malice, hate, intent, whatever you want to do, that's when the problem occurs. Otherwise, they are just objects. Now, I will agree, they are objects that allow things to happen in a more expedited manner, but that's not really the point. The matter is an A or B. Does a human pick up a thing and cause a situation? Or does a thing sit there and rust and turn back into dust over a million years? You know what I mean? It's as far as like, these are choices made by people. And as far as it seems like to me is that like, there's this whole disconnect from politicians who want to seem like they are doing something and politicians who actually want to do something. As far as like, do you want to save lives or do you want to look like you're saving lives? And I felt like over the last, I mean, since Maura Healey took over, and that she's not the only one. There are hundreds of politicians who want to get reelected like that. But I felt like Healey came into Massachusetts. She thought she was going to get onto Hillary Clinton's ticket. Coming through Massachusetts is sort of like a way to get into that presidential ticket. And she got real hard in Massachusetts and went straight after ARs and AKs. What she didn't do was address the fact that like there are, Tavors, there are so many other types of quote unquote semi-automatic rifles that do the same job. Now, let alone if you look at gun violence like numbers at all, we're looking at revolvers and handguns do the most damage to Americans, black, white, whatever race, creed, religion you are. Assault rifles, quote unquote, semi-automatic, scary rifles do like, at most 0.33% damage to the country's. So it's like, are you trying to save the most lives? Or are you trying to save the most public lives? Because there are so many lives that are in danger from any different number of problems. Malnutrition, I would argue, just kills more Americans than guns.
Well, they don't like to use the data. So like when we use the percentage of what kills the most Americans in America, firearms doesn't crack the top 10, but they don't want to talk about that.
They don't want to talk about heart disease or people getting fat, not exercising.
If you get in a car crash in the highway and you're burning in a metal freaking trap and you're on fire, nobody gives a shit. Why? Because you're creating traffic, they're late to work, and it sucks, being in bumper-to-bumper traffic. But if you get shot by a gun, then the whole world comes to the end. So that's why thousands of people die per year, in cars and stuff. But the minute somebody gets shot, then now it's plastered, from corner to corner on the nation.
It feels like the easy way out. It's like, well, guns are bad, so we can just say that's bad, and we can just go right after that. It's like, or we can address like mental health, which, I mean, you're a veteran, correct?
Yes.
If I remember correctly. Yes. What percentage of homeless folks with mental illness are from the veteran community? It's like, if we address mental health, homelessness, and veterans, those are threefold. We can handle three scenarios and also take mental illness, take a huge hit off that mental illness percentage in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, Americans have this weird thing where we don't want to invest in our own people. So if I said, hey, we're gonna spend, $50 billion to build this new missile or go to war or do this thing, we're all gonna be like, yeah, fuck yeah, America, bacon, da 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 da. Now we say, hey, instead of 50 billion, we're gonna take 10 million and invest it in healthcare. Then we're like, what the hell? Where are we gonna find the money? Who's gonna pay for this? Da, 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 da. So Americans are in this fucked up situation where people are waking up, and I tell people, ask yourself, why are people in our society waking up today saying that they want to die, and not only do they want to die, but they're willing to kill themselves, their family, the people closest to them. Not even the family dog is safe, right? And then they go out and then they murder a bunch of innocent people, like children who have done nothing wrong in the world. Why are people in our society committing these actions, right? And that's a very hard question to answer, but we don't want to invest in our own well-being. When you like you said, homelessness, right? When we say, hey, let's give Americans free community college, because we know we spend more on the criminal justice system than we do on the education system. So hey, if we give people free community college where they can get a skill, where they can go and earn income, right, and not be a menace to society, Americans don't want to do it. We don't want to pay. When I went to college, I had to pay, and so fuck the next person.
And I
Right.
will say, as someone, I paid my way through college all the way through. I paid off all my student loans, all that stuff. And I have to say, as someone who did that, I want no one to have to pay student loans. I want student loan
Exactly.
forgiveness. And I'm not a jealous motherfucker like all these people on Twitter who are saying, oh, I paid my way, they have to pay their way. No, I would rather have everybody have free education, because that sucked. I had to work my ass off after I got out of college, because what I did in college didn't fucking matter. And
But
it's
it's
one of those
the
scenarios.
Yeah, and it's the crab in the barrel mentality, right? So,
Mhm.
so now because you paid, everybody has to pay and suffer. I'm like, why would, like you said, why would you want anybody have to suffer the way you did?
That sounds petty as hell.
And people are petty. That's the bad
Yeah,
part. So now we're not investing in skills. So now this person needs to earn income. They're not earning income. What the hell you think they're gonna be doing with the free time? What's the saying about the free time and the devil, right? Like,
exactly.
you're giving them too
Idle
much.
hands are the devil's
Eh,
playground.
Exactly. So now we don't want people to have the skill. So now we don't have money for community college, but somehow we got money to give to Ukraine. Somehow we got billions of dollars in world aid. Somehow we got money to give to Israel, or insert any conflict area in the world. We got that same money. When they were doing the math of how much money we were spending a year on war when we're in Iraq and Afghanistan, and then they're like, if we had spent that money just one day worth of war, Flint, Michigan, where the water's fucked up, the money that we've been sending, it could have been fixed already, you know? So when you tell people that, invest in education, they don't want to do it. Then we say, let's give people free healthcare. Oh, why the fuck should they have free healthcare? Well, you got mental health individuals who's out here wilding out. People are shooting themselves, their family members, their friends, strangers, children, right? So we don't want to invest in education so people can make smart decisions where they don't end up economically, going through shit.
Empowered.
You don't want to provide them any type of job security, education security, and we don't want to provide them housing. We got money to give all over the world, but every day in Boston, I'm driving through the veterans homeless shelter. I'm seeing people on the sign waiting and all that stuff. So we as Americans, we have a fucked up culture where we have money for everything else but actually investing in people. And that's why
I
the
have this thing I thought about. Sorry to interrupt you.
yeah.
It goes right along with your point. The amount of money we spend on bombs that don't fix problems, that explode. These are $1 million bombs that we send off to fucking, rattle sabers that they don't kill a bad guy that has killed Americans. They don't do anything. They literally just, they're flexing. These are $1 million bombs that just explode and become nothing. That could have been food for
Mhm.
Americans. That could have been education. That could have been money in the pockets for people. That could have been something else.
Well,
Instead, it's stock points for Raytheon and companies like that. You know what I mean? I think
and when
the
you look,
annoying part is the biggest problem we have is sort of a class structure. And then the classist structure sort of tells us that race is our problem. I think that's my biggest argument against like a lot of politics in America. They're like, well, you know, BLM is versus the, you know, the police thing and this and that. It's like there are all those differences. But I think the largest difference is Congress people who take part in insider trading and make millions of dollars. When you look at their salaries as a congressman, you're like, oh, you make 150, 200 grand a year. Why are you worth $60 million? And why you make decisions for my life? Like when you're so out of touch, you have no idea what you're doing. It feels very
they're
much
on
like
the
ownership.
board. They're on the board of all the companies that they govern and regulate, and they know when to buy, they know when to
Exactly.
sell, and then
Exactly.
they make all that money. But yeah, we as Americans, we've got to challenge that. You know, like I remember when the McDonald's workers were fighting for $15 minimum wage, I was actually very happy that they were organizing. Then you
Yeah.
have other Americans who are pissed. Why do they get $15? I'm like, dude, we're all underpaid. The price of everything is going up, and wage hasn't been increasing as it should with inflation. Why are you mad at these people doing the work, organizing and doing all the stuff?
Yes.
Now you're mad at them for doing the work that they're supposed to be doing to get better paid. These companies, McDonald's, right? They boast about being the biggest company in the world. We make billions of dollars and yada yada yada. Why can't they get some of that piece of the pie too? You're talking about record profits while your employees can barely scrape to get by. Walmart is another example of that, where they're a $1 billion organization. And like I was watching this documentary where they're like majority of Walmart employees, they're on some type of government assistance. So how can
Exactly.
Walmart boast about billions of dollars? So yeah, we as Americans, we really have to ask ourselves, and we have to really have the discussion as to why we're unwilling to invest in our own people, and then be surprised when our own people are hurting each other. I'm not worried about ISIS or some Taliban or some other person coming through. I'm worried about the guy next door who can't pay his bills and who feels he just got fired and he's feeling all distressed, and he feels like there's nothing left to live for. That's the person I'm concerned about. But can you go get mental health? If I'm a gun owner, I, Pierre, am a gun owner, and I go through any of the regular shit that happens in life. Grandparents die. Your parents die, right? No parent should ever bury their children. My wife divorces and leaves me. I lose my house. I get fired at my dream job. Can I go to a hospital and say, hey, I'm going through a mental health situation? I can't do that because now I got to think, if I'm a firearm owner and I'm
It's
depressed
all gone.
and I have guns, they're going to take that shit away from me. So we
Even
live
if it's a non suicidal or homicidal scenario, even if it's like a step down from those true scenarios, you will be red flagged in that situation, which is it's very tough. And that, I think, as much as that sounds like to your average person who has no idea what's going on, they're like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, we should do that, because it's like, why even question it? It's like, well, then for the rest of every gun owner's life, they don't get to have any questions about their mental health. It's just black or white. Either you never have this part of your life again, you can never protect yourself, or you take care of yourself. It's like, I think they're not mutually exclusive. I think you
yeah.
can do both.
So now you got all these people who go through, life is hard just to live, right? Live is what? Feeding yourself, clothing yourself, roof over your head, and having some means of income. That's the basics of life.
That's the basics. And I
That's
think
hard.
so many American politicians will give you that list of things and say, do you have that? Yes, you are fine. And I think there is another such a valuable piece is, do you have direction? Do you have something that gives you purpose? Because there are so many purposeless folks out there of every type that just feel lost. And I think that feeling of lostness can add to what me and you see as like the problematic behaviors. You know what I mean? It's that lost feeling. Like you can just see someone who's just like, well, I'm lost. So my whole thing's messed up. So if I take out a bunch of people and I'm mad and I do this whole thing, then it basically it doesn't matter mentality. I think we need to invest more in it. It matters. Everything matters. Everybody matters. Now, race, color, creed, religion, everybody matters. And that's what's important. And I think the Second Amendment is one of those things. It's like we got the First Amendment, so you can talk about it. And for me, and everybody can agree or disagree, I think the Second Amendment is there in place to keep the First Amendment in place. Because an armed society, to me, feels like an honest society.
Polite society too. Yeah, I mean
Exactly.
it protects a lot of things. But yeah, I think that's our biggest issue. We've got to value life. We've got to invest in our people, and that way we don't have all these broken people, these hurt people trying to hurt people. And
Mhm.
until Americans start to value and are willing to invest in our own citizens, we're going to continue to see the chaos that's happening. And it's not about guns. It's not
Mhm.
about a gun when somebody has nothing left to live for and want to hurt as many people as possible.
'Cause they're going to do what they do with whatever tools they have. Now, one can argue that a firearm may make things more expeditious, but I would argue the Oklahoma bombing didn't require any firearms whatsoever. And that guy was very much a hurt person who hurt people.
So yeah, until Americans want to help each other
Yeah.
out, we're screwed.
I
All right.
think Americans need to realize that their enemies are not each other. And as much as people tell us that that guy over there who is a different this or a different that, um, that's not your problem. It's I think as much as it sounds like weird to say, is like class feels like a much bigger issue because there is it feels like there are not puppet masters controlling the world, but I feel like there's an upper echelon of people who are making decisions for us that don't fucking actually speak for us.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people like you and me who if someone didn't know you and I, right, and they just looked at a picture of this screenshot right now, they would say those two people look very much different. Those people are very different. And I would think that besides military service, which you have and I don't, like we are very much very alike. You know what I mean? We have very much similar thought processes. I would be willing to bet that we agree on almost everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Now that's
and most people have more in common than they have in differences.
exactly,
But we
and that's
focus so
that
much on
sentiment is lost somewhere. That we like there used to be a thing. It's like we're all just humans. It's like when did that get lost? And I feel like it became a weapon of media politics, all those different things of people trying to gain something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean it's all part of divide and conquer, bread and circus. If we can keep the
Hmm.
poor fighting among each other, then we can stay rich and happy. And that's happened throughout entire history. When you
Hmm.
had the slavery and the poor whites, slaves and poor whites had more in common, but you gave the poor whites just a little bit of privilege, and now they thought they were they were better than the slaves. Like, yo, y'all both are in a horrible economic situation.
I think a lot of underprivileged or whatever you want to call them, white folks don't remember that. Like, I'm of Irish heritage. The Irish people were some of the original unwanted immigrants in America. Irish need not apply is a sign, a historical sign. You can buy this like now, and it's like a sign of the times. And that's one of those things. Now, I'm not saying that they equate equally at all. What I'm saying is that there is some sort of correlation between what's happening in upper and lower echelons as far as like monetary differences and things like that. And it's a lot bigger of a chasm or a chasm than racial issues. I think race is the least of America's issues right now. It's just easy to sell because it is visually apparent.
Mhm.
Whereas monetarily, unless someone's wearing J. Crew and someone else is wearing rags, then you can just say like this person's poor, this person's rich. We can't tell the difference. How can we tell the difference? We can split people apart. That's very easy. We can do that. And America's history makes that abundantly easy because there are so many different feelings on that things. And if people would just kind of settle down and realize that there are a bunch of humans just trying to live in the same place, no matter what the history was, if as long as we can come together and try to figure it out with good intentions in our hearts, I think the sky's the limit.
I agree with you with that. That's why they always say the best man, the best man for the job never runs, right? So when we look at the people who we elect to represent and govern us, they don't represent the ideals like you just said. So we need to find young, vibrant individuals who are passionate and who can bring a breath of fresh air into this world. Because
Too many politicians just want to get reelected. So as far as gun control stuff goes, they go, well, let me just say that the AR-15 is a bad thing. And that's just a slam dunk with a bunch of people who have no idea what I'm talking about, because I'm a person who has no idea what I'm talking about as the, you know, quote unquote politician. So that's a Band-Aid right on it. And they go, oh, I'll get reelected on the fact that I say that AR-15 is just ruining America, when the fact that so many other factors are ruining America, you know, in effect. That, like, as far as these divides, these like just sowing, you know, these separations between every single group that could possibly try to get together, when they go, no, it's an object. There's literally just a bunch of iron, manganese, you know, aluminum, whatever it is, that rock. Like if you took a gun and just compressed it, it's just a rock.
Well, part of the issue too, why they're blaming the guns, is because the bad guys now are killing themselves, right? So before, when the guy commits the crime, you can lock him up. The family can come into court and say, you're a murderer, you're gonna rot in hell, and I hate you. And the family would get a sense of justice and know that the guy's gonna rot in jail forever. Now, when the guy shoots himself, right, the families of victims, they're robbed of that opportunity to get that justice. So the only thing that's left is the gun. Because, you know, I wish you die. Well, shit, you took yourself out. Okay, now I've got all this pent up anger and frustration. What's left? Okay, how did he do it? The gun. Okay, let me focus on the gun. And the gun is a easy. It's easy to blame it on the firearm because that's how they did it. But it's harder. It's hard to tell somebody who.
The why is the hard part.
Yeah.
The how is the easy part.
It's hard to tell somebody who lost their loved one that, hey, freedom isn't free. The cost of freedom is risk, right? That's a hard time, and maybe inappropriate time to be having that conversation. They want to look about how could we stop that? You know, how could
it's also tough because, like, was it the Kentucky shooter? Had a manifesto, had told us why they were doing it, not released. All we know is that they used a fucking high point carbine, which me and you know that doesn't that's a hindrance to a tactical situation.
Well, you can argue if releasing the manifesto is a good thing or bad. If someone's crazy, I don't want to publish the shit online.
Okay, we don't have to release the whole manifesto, but we can say they did it because they thought X, Y, Z. And now, if we choose or whether or not to trust them on if they are, you know, saying it right, like we don't have to go A through Z on it, because I don't need to read 200 pages of someone who put, you know, Hello Kitty stickers on their high point carbine.
Yeah. But yeah, this discussion could go on forever. But I got Daniel who's waiting in line. He's ready to come in.
I appreciate the time, man.
Thank you very much for coming in and speaking to us. We'll be live every Friday from 10 to 12 and plus. And, you know, we'll get it rocking. And then as we build our audience, you know, we'll have Fridays and not Fridays, but maybe like Saturdays or Thursday or something like that.
It's a great idea, man. I think it's a good, important conversation to have.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these conversations you're not having on the media, mainstream media. There's like, guns are bad, guns are good. Well, let's talk about the nuance. Let's talk about why gun owners can't seek mental health without being penalized or, you know, villainized. And I think those are important things to bring into mainstream and just have people think. So thank you for coming in. I appreciate it.
Real quick, if I can just do a 30-second EDC moment.
Oh yeah.
My EDC pistol is a Star M9A1.
Okay.
This is so we're clear.
Yeah.
Again, this pistol is absolutely fantastic. It was designed by Wilhelm Bubitz, who designed the Glock. He went to Glock and gave them this design and said it's got 111 degree grip angle. It's got a better grip on. It's got a low profile slide. It's got let's see if I can get in. It's got a
I
sight
see
picture.
the rear sights. Yep.
Yeah, this gun is fantastic. I have an Inforce. I think it's a APC, so it's great for guns right there. But this pistol is mass approved, and this is a fantastic pistol. It's a 9mm. It's a really good pistol. The recoil impulse is fantastic. This is like if people want Glock, I have a Glock. I have an M&P. This gun is better than that, and it's about. I think I got it for between $500 and $600. That is a fantastic pistol. There's also a new model that's even better.
He said better than Glock and M&P. We are gonna have.
Reliability. Glock is God, but as far as ergonomics and sight picture and the stock trigger on this gun, I want to come out to Swansea and show you this trigger, man. Like you will. The stock trigger on this is the brake on it and the reset are fantastic.
Listen, we're gonna have our nights where we're gonna be able to argue about this gun and that.
It's a good one.
We will have our time.
But yeah, that's a good one. The Steyr M9A1 is a fantastic mass-approved pistol that takes on lights and everything. It goes great.
Yeah, go ahead and type it up in the comments for anybody that
I'll do it right now.
Interested in checking that.
Do you want it in the YouTube or in the StreamYard?
Well, it's the same thing. So StreamYard. YouTube,
oh, it does?
Yeah. Just not the private chat because you.
I'll put it in the YouTube for you, man. No problem at all. I'll let you do your thing.
All right, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
You have a good one, man. Have a good night.
You too. All right, let's bring in our next guest here. Daniel, my man, how you doing, brother? Hello, can we can't hear you. Did you mute your mic? I can't hear you. No, I cannot. I see your mouth moving. Nope. I can't hear you. I know you had a lot to say. Let's scroll up in the comments here. Let's see what you said here. You had a lot to say. You spurred a bit of a conversation. Let's see right here. Brother was saying, let's see, where was it now? Let's see. Oh, there we go. That spurred it all up. When you go to audio, you can go ahead and choose the laptop or whatever device that you're using as your microphone. But I'm seeing here, yeah, you're not muted. I cannot hear you. So let's see what you hear there. You said, don't make it a racial thing. All gun control is unconstitutional. I would love to know what you mean by gun control. I think people use that as a very vague term. So I'd love to hear your definition of gun control because you use the term all gun control. So that's interesting. I did make my comments about Black people and firearms. They did it first with Indians, Chinese, and Mexicans. If you can go ahead and elaborate on that. And then you wrote, my point is that by focusing only on Americans of African descent.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. What's up?
Okay, great.
Okay, did you figure out what was going on?
Computer will just like get the external microphone, but I can hear from inside here.
Yeah, technology is great until it's not working.
Exactly. And as we all know, yeah, absolutely.
So what's up, Daniel? We know your name. Let us know where you're calling from, city and state, and what you do for work.
I didn't want to start a controversy. I mean, because there's no controversy to be had.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Waltham, Mass.
Okay, Waltham, Mass. Okay, and then what do you do for work?
I took my second safety course with you.
Okay, fantastic. Okay.
It was great. Yeah. And then afterwards I got my license, and from then I've had maybe let's say 2 years of pretty much very intense self self imposed discipline,
Okay.
to the point where I've been like doing like 20,000 rounds a year.
Okay, I thought you was about to say a month. I'd be like, damn, bro, what job you got? Where you throwing down? I'm just moving back to putting.
I'm just a humble motherfucker. It's just like I'm just as again. You gotta watch the you gotta watch the Wire, and I'm sorry. Uh, I'm
Not,
just
I did
I'm
watch
just
The Wire.
okay. Okay, if you watch the Wire, Bunk Moreland. My favorite character of the Wire is Bunk Moreland. That homicide detective. I'm just a humble effort with a big, you know what?
Mhm. Oh yeah. I mean, I watched The Wire when The Wire came out. That was like,
And also the brother Muzone, the brother. Okay, what I wrote in was basically precisely that quote from The Wire. Brother Muzone, in I believe the second season,
mhm,
third or fourth episode. Don't quote me on it, but it's pretty close, somewhere around that.
uh-huh.
Brother Muzone comes into the projects building 225 and like okay, where the Barksdale organization is, you know, doing its
Operating.
trade.
Mhm.
And exactly, Brother Muzone uh, exerts his authority and his influence far beyond, and in a manner so alien to the street hustlers there in the ghetto itself, that he was like able to transcend, and they just ended up fearing this motherfucker just by the mannerism of of his voice and the content of his speech. And basically what he said was that, you know what the most thing, like the most dangerous thing in America is, right? Nigga with a library card.
Mhm. I add the firearm to that quote because they don't want you to read it and they don't want you to have the means because they're
Malcolm,
scared. Go
brother Malcolm, and yes, like there is no reason. Like my point is that any attempts to deprive anyone from defending himself, his family, his whatever you want to define it, property, etc. Anyone who would seek to deprive you from those rights is imposing unconstitutional and unreasonable demands upon you as a person. It's absolutely ridiculous to live in a society where you say, okay, we delegate the use of force to certain aspects and certain actors of society, because I've lived through that. Um, I was born here in this country, but I lived in Venezuela for pretty much all of my life since I was like 2 years old until I was about 28. I know socialism. I know what an unarmed society looks like. A society unarmed by government decree. A society where not only are you unarmed, but even the thought that you might want to have something, anything, not even just firearms. We're talking about like knives, machetes, even that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Having any kind of, okay, we're basically talking about societies who have delegated their safety and people who have delegated their own safety and security to the state. That's my issue. That's what I've seen in Latin America. And that's what I see that in this country is a fundamental kind of genetic DNA encrusted sphere that, every American can cling on to, regardless of race, regardless of background, even um, socioeconomic background. Everybody can hold on and coalesce around a very specific idea of what it is to be free. That very specific and very crystalline and very small idea only exists in this country.
Well, that's how the country was founded, right? On the in theory and in principle, the idea of
Yes,
freedom.
yes,
We got
yes.
taxed without representation, and we burned we burned everything to the ground. The forefathers would
Absolutely.
be mad as hell now if they see all the taxation that's happening. They'd want to burn it to the ground again. But yeah, that's where the whole notion was. I say the idea of it because the reality is for anyone other than white people, you weren't allowed to exercise that. But the idea of freedom and everyone has the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, that's a very powerful idea. And I think you bring in a unique perspective because, like you said, you spent 28 years living in a country where socialism was alive and well. How did that affect everyday people and like crime and stuff like that? Like, where was the police able to effectively protect their citizens, or were citizens just being victimized by criminals, or
Pierre,
was there no crime because of socialism? You want to
I
go
got
ahead and give some insight on that?
I got you. Pierre, the police were not only uh the police were out for themselves and were your victimizers. I mean, the police, it got to such a level of degeneration of the state where the police don't have their paychecks coming from the central state. So they gotta figure it out. And
Okay.
what are they gonna do? They're
Criminal
gonna
element. Yeah, they're gonna
they,
go to
they're
criminal.
gonna pull you over. They gotta do whatever it is. And it happens on all levels of like Venezuelan society. I mean, it starts from like the smallest levels, the unmooring of the state from the payroll and the the manner in which state actors were forced to become criminal organizations.
Why?
That's what happened. I mean, you had military officers of all ranks who were told, okay, instead of getting your regular paycheck tomorrow or next month, we're going to give you the control of this or that petrol station, that gas station, because gas is life. Gas, I mean, in Venezuela, in a country where we have the largest proven oil reserves in the world, I remember 2018 before I came here. I spent 3 weeks, 3 fucking weeks sleeping outside a gas station, waiting to just fill my car, just to be able to like keep the car inside the house, get maybe half of a tank out to use to power the generator, which powered the house because we had 12 hours of electricity a day.
So where's all the fuel going? So if you guys got the largest oil reserves, why are you waiting 3 weeks for fuel? I don't
The
understand.
problem is that, like, for at least from 2010, 2012, around that, when fuel prices started to come down, well, like international, like
Mhm.
OPEC prices started to come down, the cracks in the Venezuelan system started to show. Venezuela was based on fake money, socialist promises, a whole lot of BS from BS loans from China,
So they
all
didn't
these kind of actors.
diversify their ways of generating revenue.
No, it was even worse. Whatever money was given, quote unquote, to Venezuela was basically completely and utterly stolen and extracted and just stored up into the coffers of a couple of very well connected cronies of the regime. So it's okay. Basically, if we want to put a price tag on it, the amount of money that has been exfoliated and just swindled from Venezuela and all the international agreements it's signed on to, it's at least like 10, 15. Some people put it at like 20-ish trillion
$1 trillion.
dollars. Yes. We have one person, one nurse, alleged nurse, who has $5 billion in a Spaniard at a bank in Spain and some other couple of billions that we can't even track. Just because she was like Hugo Chavez's personal nurse.
Mm,
We have
okay.
billions, hundreds of billions of dollars going through like the monetary systems of who who knows where, that like are all result of Venezuelan corruption. We have also, okay, I'll give you this one. Hang on to this one. Sorry, Pierre. There was a guy who ended up being the Minister of the Interior, basically like the head of the DOJ.
Okay.
You know, his
Hmm.
name is well, is or was, because the guy's been like disappeared for months. We have no idea. Like, we have no proof of life. We have no idea if this guy's still alive. But his name was or is Tarek El Aissami. He's a Venezuelan Lebanese citizen. His family emigrated to Venezuela from Lebanon in this like 73, 74, somewhere around that. After that, that guy rose up to be like a government minister. And at some point around the 2010s, I'm not gonna like make this make this easy for anyone, but this guy was in charge of the entire interior ministry of Venezuela. Basically, the guy who would say, okay, issue this or that or that or that or that visa or that paper or that document or that passport or that whatever. So there was an investigation done here in this country that found around 30,000 suspected let's just call it as it should be. Around 30 to 50,000 suspected terrorists went to Venezuela while Tarek al-Assami was the head of the Interior Ministry, and he himself personally had him on lists, like
like terrorists from where? When you say terrorists, what are you talking about? You talking about ISIS, Al Qaeda?
I'm talking Lebanon, Syria, Iran, Iraq. I'm talking everybody. I'm talking Hezbollah. I'm talking Hamas. Like the thing is, like nobody knows.
So all these terrorist people in the country, but regular citizens don't have firearms.
I'll many. Okay, do you know? Oh, okay. I'm gonna clue you on a clue you in on a big one. There's an island. It's called Margarita Island. Same like the pizza.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 20 minutes boat ride from like mainland Venezuela. That island is the pearl of, and has been for generations, has been a resort and like the pearl of the Caribbean for Venezuelans. That island, at least for 30 years, has hosted people who would otherwise hate and kill each other in different parts of the world. I'm talking like people who would otherwise, as soon as they see each other, just, you know, break him out.
Mm-hmm.
This disparate individuals, and so like ideologically disparate individuals as like Islamist terrorists and hardcore like atheists, hardcore communist rebels. They're all congregating and they're all like treating a particular part of Venezuela, which is called Margarita Island. That island in Venezuela has been, it's basically like a Casablanca. It's open, it's neutral territory. It's free. It's the Continental Hotel.
I was
The
just
con
about to say that.
the Continental from John Wick.
John Wick,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. You can go in, no worries, brother. You just killed 20, 30. I'm not gonna say whatever. Okay, whatever. But still, your money's green. And this is a safe haven because Venezuela has always been, I mean, Venezuela doesn't really produce anything. Once the know-how and the incentive for people to actually like try to strive to be engineers, oil mechanics, all that kind of thing. Once it was clear that not only could you not thrive doing those kinds of jobs, but that also the state was actively pursuing you because of your ideological belief and because you do not agree that you should be a slave to the state, basically. If you don't agree to live under socialism, you have no place in this country. They purged 30,000 skilled workers
Now, when you say
from
purge, do you mean kill or ran them out the country?
random out the country.
Okay, ran them out the country.
Yeah, 30,000 people. I mean, could you imagine like any kind of like, okay, Halliburton. Oh shit. Oh, we don't like 30,000 of our workforce for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
because those are skilled workers. So now your economy is going to tank because all your brain power is leaving and going to other companies. So and
But okay, but let me wrap it up into like one very specific point.
okay.
When I saw in 2008 that Hugo Chavez proposed and later on imposed through thick and thin, he didn't give a he didn't give an F. Sorry, I'm trying to like he imposed gun control. 2008. That's for me. That was the breaking point. I knew then we're
So in 2008, he did a nationwide ban on firearms.
yes, he did.
And then you're saying ever since then, the country has tanked because the people didn't have the right to stand up for themselves and advocate for themselves.
You can buy a gun if you want, but it's gonna cost you $30,000 cash,
US dollars?
US dollars. Yeah, if you want to buy, okay, if you want to buy a Glock, you can buy a Glock. Yeah, totally, totally. You can buy a Gen 5 Glock 19 in Venezuela right now. It's gonna cost you $15,000 though.
That's a hell of a markup.
Black
And
market, baby.
yeah, so then
Black market. The state imposes, and the criminals don't give a F. And the only people who end up having guns are them.
are the bad guys in the state.
It's that simple, brother.
Damn. So what do you think is the way out? How does the country or the people turn this around so they could have a bright future? What's your opinion on that?
I'm sorry. Uh, I've
What's the solution? Because we always talk about the problem, but if you can put out there in the world and say, "Hey, if we come together as
the
a country,"
yeah, no. I know what you mean, but the problem is like there is no solution to the Venezuelan problem. The rot is so internalized, and like the issues are so fundamental within the culture and the essence of the nation itself. The nation needs a fundamental and a harsh dialogue of sorry,
no, no,
what the f happened, how the f we got to this point. Nobody
you
wants to.
think of a leader, what type of leader? If you could,
No. Okay, that's one of the problems.
you could say like Nelson Mandela type, or
No. Yeah, okay, that's one of the problems. Latin America has always been, um, let's say, cursed by the need of having one charismatic leader. We call him caudillo. We
Mm,
call him like the strong man, caudillo, el caudillo. It doesn't matter if like he's democratically elected. It doesn't matter if he's a dictator. We need a strong man. That's the Latin American like kind of perspective. It's always been. They always look for a caudillo, for a one strong man, and that is a fundamental
problem
hindrance and,
because
and
power
problem.
the power
Yes,
is concentrated into one individual when it should be
yes.
like a board or council or
Exactly. And then what happens when we have a guy like we had? Okay. I'm
like
going to give okay, I'm going to give you a quote and you're going to love this one. Okay.
Mhm.
This is from like the early 1900s in Venezuela. We had a dictator at that time called Juan Vicente Gomez. He said, like, this is like, and I fucking love it. For my friends, everything. For my enemies, the law.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
That's the mentality. That's the mentality of the Latin American and the South American ruling peoples, you know? I don't give a fuck if my friend is corrupt as hell. He's my friend, you know?
Yeah, do you guys
And
have separation of powers like the states have? Like
no,
the Senate and the House, and you don't have
no, no,
committees and groups of
no,
people?
exactly. And that's a very good point and a huge problem that our societies in Latin America, like everything south of the border, pretty much everything south of the border, is hyper concentrated on one particular individual. It's a hyper presidentialist regime. They are all hyper presidentialist regimes. They all depend. They all live and die at the feet and the hands and the thoughts and the mouth of the president, the caudillo, the strong man, the one guy, the messiah, so to speak. You
Mhm.
know, our Latin American societies have always been struggling and striving and looking for messiahs to solve their problems.
So would you say that to have a democracy, you would need to arm people? The people need to be armed to maintain a balance of power? Correct.
Yes, but the problem is that, like, if I'm gonna be frank about it, I don't trust people to be rational enough. I mean, if we made firearms available to every single person in Latin America today, as kind of like what happens in this country. If everybody, if like by tomorrow we could have one AR and two pistols, like one small micro compact and a full size 9 on every home
Mhm.
tomorrow in Latin America, I honestly don't trust that they would be judicious enough with that freedom being imposed and like available that quickly.
Well, they would need the
The
education.
problem is, like, yes, the the thing is, like, this country has a tradition and a culture of gun ownership. Yes, that is beautiful. That is precisely what we need to spread around the full
Which
world.
which country was it a couple years ago in Latin America that gave the private citizens the right to own a gun? I remember reading or watching.
Brazil,
It was
Brazil.
yeah, because the
Yo,
gay
yo.
crime was.
Okay. But yeah, but the problem is that Bolsonaro decree was also done away with by Lula. So
Oh, they
it
took it back.
it didn't really matter. It doesn't matter.
So
It's
are
it's
you
it's
saying
it,
the
I mean
in
it's I
Brazil
mean
took
there
it
is basically there is no other country apart from the United States where you can't say, okay, where the right to keep and bear arms is so ingrained in the foundational documents that you can't get rid of it. I mean, it's pretty much hard or pretty much impossible to argue around it. We don't have that kind of thing in Latin America. Latin America and pretty much everywhere outside of the US treats gun rights as a privilege, not a right.
Yeah, I think the other thing too that's unique about America is that because we had so many different groups, people felt the need to protect themselves from other groups. So it's like in America, we say, "Oh, the whites are bad," racist white America is, keeping the black man down. But I'm from Haiti, right? So Haitians are hurting Haitians, right? So when you take out the white man and we're left by ourselves, we treat each other just as bad as the white man was treating us.
And I have to say, Monsieur, as a Venezuelan, Toussaint Louverture, the
Mhm.
fir- the first sovereign president
We
of
did
a
spark,
sovereign nation
we sparked that revolution global.
in this continent. He was the first to support the revolution in Venezuela, and he had no conditions apart from freeing the slaves.
Okay.
You will not have any. Okay, we'll give you however much money you need. How well, not really however much money you need, however much money we could give.
Yeah. Mhm.
That was, but we want a solemn promise from you, Simon Bolivar, the father of our nation, our George Washington,
Okay.
to say, okay, once you land and free Venezuela, there will be no slaves.
I was like,
And
and
yeah,
did he honor his promise?
and he did, and it did happen. Yes,
Hey, okay, I
yes,
learned something new today.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely. Okay, if you could imagine somebody on like Elon Musk kind of like levels of wealth
Mm-hmm.
and ended up dying poor, absolutely broke in somebody else's bed that was borrowed. That's how Simon Bolivar died. Simon Bolivar, look it up. Yeah.
Dang, how did he
Yeah.
rise and fall like that?
Simon Bolivar. Okay, the thing is, like, Simon Bolivar wanted Latin America, and not just Latin America, but like the whole American continent to be a free zone, a zone of freedom. That's the thing. The part of the American project that was starting around 1830s, the expansion to the west,
Yeah, manifest destiny.
manifest destiny, the Monroe Doctrine, eradicating the tribes,
Because
all that kind.
God told
Exactly.
us to.
That's what effed it up. Exactly. But if things had gone differently, I mean, there was a different vision. There was a different plan. It's not like it's not like people didn't know about it. They just didn't want it. They wanted empire. They wanted subjugation. I agree with you. Yeah, this country engaged in some of the most disgusting and some of the most unescapable and like unjustifiable actions. There's no question about it. And for what reason?
Agreed.
And we're still doing it.
And we're still doing.
Vietnam, Grenada, Panama, Iraq, Afghanistan. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't want to like cast any like aspersions or kind of like
No, the world is fucked up, man.
up
I
up.
really, I really thought we, as humans, we were past global wars. I really thought that what I was reading in the history books was gonna be the last like major wars that we had. So the whole Russia thing and the Israel and like people literally crossing the border to conquer people and steal land, that really took me by surprise because
Bro, oh god damn
I thought we
it.
were past that.
Oh fuck. I mean, yeah, don't even bring it up. I got a couple of friends who died and yeah, been killed in the last few months, in the last few weeks. I'm sorry, bro.
And then I just think about, just the everyday person, the person who's just going to work, doing their 9 to 5, trying to provide for their family, and then the world turns upside down. It's just it's crazy. And I think about, what if that happens here? What if one day a country decides to invade? We're gonna be the first ones hit, the coast, East Coast
That's
or West Coast. We're gonna be the first
exactly,
ones.
exactly. That's what yes, yes. Please, what's gonna happen? What
New York,
the
Boston, those
problem?
are big.
Yeah,
Those are prime targets, you know. And what I thought was beyond, what I thought was crazy thinking and talking, is now a reality. We may be on the brink of World War III.
and we're not even talking about MERVs. We're talking about. I mean, okay, the cartels have been here and have already been here for years.
But they're not spreading. They take their little territory and then they keep it. They're not saying, "Okay, we've conquered this territory. Now we're gonna go to the next section and do that." They've contained themselves, and now we're
True.
living in a part of society where
Mm,
we're still conquering land. And I thought we were done redrawing maps, but now countries are trying to redraw maps again. And I'm just like, whoa! I thought we were past that. China and Taiwan, and that whole block of islands. And i just I feel very naive now, thinking as a human race that we were past the point of like major conflict, and then we see today.
mm, yeah. No. 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 Yeah.
Now,
No. You.
all this talking about freedom and peace and rights, and then when it boils down to it, we still, as a human species, don't have the the moral commitment to say, Russia, stop. You can have a disagreement,
I
but
mean, but
you can't cross the border.
how is Sleepy Joe gonna tell Vladdy stop?
But we also
Ladania.
we also don't have
Russia.
the grounds to tell people stop, because we're also doing horrible thing about the world, around the
Yes.
world.
Yes.
So
Very
who
much.
are we to say, "Hey, Russia, stop"? And then they're like, "But you was in Afghanistan for 20 something years,
Yes.
subjugating the people." So
This
where do we have moral,
absolutely overextended, spread way too thin.
spending way too much money on war and crime?
Yes.
Huh?
Spending $30,000 on a fucking sorry effing toilet or that
Yeah,
kind of that kind of thing, you know.
I remember when I was younger seeing the numbers of how much we were spending money a day per war overseas, and the comparison of what that money, like this couple days of war money, could have fixed in America.
It's like a hospital bill, bro.
Yeah. And then it's like, when we're not at war, now we don't want to spend the money either. It's like, damn, we never want to spend the money on our people. And then somehow when we go to war, we magically find this money. And then it's like, when we're done with the war, what did we make better? Like, we were in Afghanistan for how long? What did we make better in Afghanistan? Right? You look at Iraq, and so it's just like,
I don't know. I mean, I seem to remember American military planes leaving unceremoniously, like on a steep bank, and people clinging onto them planes, and
mm-hmm,
then falling off.
because they knew
Is
they
it
knew what was coming.
is that a figment of my imagination, or
They knew
was that
what was coming.
or was that an administrative and yeah, I don't want to curse. Yeah, I'm sorry. I gotta keep myself. It
No.
it is that an administrative and a hierarchical just cluster F? Come
And
on. Come on, brother.
and I hate how segments of our human race don't want half our population, women, to be educated, to be trained. And it's like we're still living in a world where you want half your population, if not more, to not have basic human rights. How do you
True.
expect your
Yes.
country how
True.
do you expect
Yes.
your country to hold on? How do you expect your country to better when half the talent can't develop? Think about all the problems that could be solved if these people were able to contribute to the society to stimulate the economy. All the inventions and all the things that could have happened, but you stifle that growth and that development because you don't want women to be educated.
Yeah,
But now
but why? Yeah, but why don't you want women to be educated?
power and control.
Because under the Quran, and I've read it a bunch of times, and I've discussed it and like argued, like heavily argued with, like, okay, I have a friend who the for the first year used to live here at my house. He's from Afghanistan. He went back. He graduated and went back to Afghanistan like 2 months before it all went down. So like since then, I mean, I actually have like a non-suspicion that he's actually like a Taliban commander. Like, he's actually like deep into it because of like the conversations we had. Because
Oh, he
exactly.
was
No,
ex-
no, because his interpretation of Islam and the Quran led me to not only kind of like confirm my own suspicions about what like ordinary quote unquote Muslims think about the Quran, but how would they interpret it and make it manifest in the real world? So I came to the conclusion that not only okay, basically the Quran is poisonous to Western society, and it's poisonous and it's dangerous to a liberal, peaceful kind of understanding or way of living that we kind of have right now. It's incompatible
well,
because
I would argue that any government based on religion that applies to, because like when we look like when we look at America and Christianity, when we didn't have that separation of religion and state, we were burning witches at the stake because we thought whatever stupid thing. So I think when you use religion as a form of government and you don't have that separation, then you run into interpretations and things like that versus the law. Yeah, you can have interpretations of some law, but we have what's called case precedents where we look back and say, look, we've clarified that already. We don't need to rehash that. But I think any society that's regulated by religion and by a book of who knows who wrote that and how many revisions there have been, I it's incompatible with democracy because
it is. Yeah, absolutely.
you're
Yeah.
using that textbook. So that's one of the things I'm grateful for in America to some degree, that we have that separation of like religion and we have the checks and balances.
Yes, true. But yeah, but the Quran and Islam does not make any separation between religion and state. Absolutely, actually, the Quran is a way to make the political, the religious, everything manifest in your actual life forever and ever.
Yeah,
You know?
and
It's a total recipe for everything in life. Political relations, what you should think, how you should treat other people, what you should eat. Everything is prescribed within the confines of the Quran. And Muslims assert the Quran as the perfect revelation of God, unalterable, unmistakable, unchallengeable. And they also believe that the world is meant to be unified under the flag of Allah. What does that mean?
You have to spread.
You either have to convert, live as a dhimmi. You know what a dhimmi is?
No.
A dhimmi is a slave, basically a lower class person. You can be treated as a dog.
Nah, I'm all set with that.
Or the third choice, you can die. That's what happens when Islam comes into your society. And that's what's gonna happen if we let that kind of
Well, I wouldn't
religious zealotry, no matter where it comes from, that kind of religious zealotry is absolutely incompatible with a liberal society, with a rational kind of constitutional republic. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
I mean, do you
I'm
remember Mitt Romney? Do you
Yeah,
remember do you
yeah,
remember
yeah. He's
Mitt
a,
Romney didn't even want to like say like, okay, yeah, I regard like, you know, the teachings of Joseph Smith above the U.S. Constitution. That's exactly what happens with Islam and like with people like Ilhan Omar
well,
and
I don't think
and
it's restricted to Islam because
and
Christians did the same thing. They went to Africa to civilize the Africans, and what did that entail? Slave rape, murdering, stealing. Our resources. Was that civilizing? Same thing with the Native Americans. They're going to assimilate them. They killed their parents and then made the children grow up in their society. So I wouldn't restrict that only to Muslims. I would say any religious ideology that's the foundation and the governing that requires you to spread that thinking and to conquer and do all that stuff.
fine by me. I'm a hardcore atheist. Yeah, religion is poison. Yeah, thank you.
That's a very strong take. You say religion. There's like how many thousands of religions out there?
Religion is
Who
poison. Like
are
religion, organized religion poisons everything. Like poisons your mind into ascribing and believing things that cannot be true and rationalizing them into making them be true and even further than imposing them on other people. I'm
I would
sorry.
agree with that.
Okay,
I would
okay.
agree with that.
If okay, if it were only like, okay, the kind of like very kind of like kosher acceptable kind of like Judeo-Christian tenets. Do not unto others what you do not want to be done upon yourself. Do not bear false witness. Honor your mother and father. No, beautiful. Yes, absolutely. Great. But the problem is, I don't think we need it or we don't need a religious authority to say that, okay, these values stem from us.
Well, religion was used to control populations and justify evil.
Totally. Absolutely.
So that's what religion has often been used for. Hey, we're gonna go civilize the Africans, so because they're savages, and we're gonna do that by all men are equal except Africans. They're three-fourths of a human being. So there's all religion has always been used as a justification.
Well, but yeah, but at least you guys were like 3/4 of the human beings. Like
We can't
India,
vote.
we no like oh yeah, we Indians in Latin America, we had no souls, so we weren't
Yeah,
even.
it's all types of
according to the Catholic Church at that time.
So
You
like
know?
all the barbarism, I'll take a pass on that. But yeah, it was never meant to uplift; it's meant to control, and it works to this
No,
day. To
I
this day,
agree.
people are still, worshiping
So
the
why
gods
so
they're
why so
oppressive.
why should we accept religiosity, so to speak?
I
Any kind
know,
of
but that's the
any,
world we're born into.
any kind of like religious arguments as to X or Y, you know?
That's the life we're born into. We can't convince Muslims not to be Muslims. We can't convince Christians not to be Christians. We can't convince Buddhists not to be Buddhists. Like it doesn't matter. Pick any religion that you want in the world. We
Yeah.
can't convince people not to do that. You just gotta accept that there's different ways of living and then just respect people choosing their different way to live.
True.
You know?
True. And perfect. But the problem is Islam, that's the one religion who has a problem with all of them. Islam.
I think every religion says if you worship
No, no,
any
no, no,
other
no, no, no,
religion,
no.
if you
No, no, no,
worship
no,
any
no,
other
no.
religion, you're gonna burn
No,
it out.
Pierre, sorry. Pierre, sorry. Islam claims to be the last and final revelation. There's nothing before, and there will not be anything after Islam. Islam is Islam. Islam will have you submit or die, basically. There's no choice around it. You will either convert or die. And if you leave the faith, you're an apostate. You're a mushrik. You are a, and if you're not even within the faith itself, you're a kafir. You know what that is? I
No,
know this shit.
uh, I
You're a kafir.
I've
You know?
never studied the Quran or anything like that. So.
Perhaps you should. I frankly believe you should study the Holy Quran and read exactly. Read their contempt for women, their contempt for free peoples, for free thinking.
I
Their
see.
contempt. Okay. Do you like dogs?
I do, but yeah, a lot of people think dogs are dirty, and so
Do
yeah.
you do you like black dogs? Because if you don't like black dogs, you're a racist.
Black cats in American society were witches for a while. We were killing every black cat that was seen. So
Yeah,
it's like that's why I say any religion, right? Some religions cows are holy, and then we're
exactly.
eating
Yeah.
cows,
Okay.
But
Okay.
everybody
So
has a
the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu wasalam. Do you even
I have
sallallahu wasalam?
I have no idea.
I
No, no.
I know this shit because I've studied it.
Okay.
The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu wasalam hated, absolutely hated dogs, and particularly hated black dogs. Was he a racist? No, maybe. Yeah, I'd say so. A racist and a specious. Yeah. So yeah, fuck him and fuck his religion. I mean, because are you telling me that this perfect text was dictated in one like fell stroke from God to a 14th century warlord who was illiterate, a pedophile? Are
I don't
you telling are
I
you telling are you telling me that
look,
this is your prophet? This is the guy that your God,
you're
Allah, holy Allah,
you're in dangerous territory, my man.
revealed, gave revelation to? No, no, no. I don't even care about the territory because I know it. I'm deep inside it. I know it.
Uh, well, human beings, they live the way they live. I just want to live my life in
Okay,
peace,
the
protect
okay
my family.
the problem is like Islam won't let you live your life.
Oh,
Yeah,
as
that's
long as they, as
that's
long as they
that's
stay over there across the
that's the
ocean,
problem.
we ain't got no problem.
Eventually at some point, if when they get okay, do you know the saying the US has all the clocks, we have all the time? You remember that? That's what the tallies said in Afghanistan.
No, U.S. has a. Oh, because they knew that our money would run
No,
out.
no, 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 no. They have all the like the clocks, like the actual like instruments to measure time. We have all the time. We don't care. Islam will wait however long it takes for your society to be receptive to its message and receptive to its insidious campaign. I'm sorry to say. I mean, unpopular opinion, and maybe like,
Yeah,
ugh,
you gonna get some clackback on that.
I welcome it. I mean, and if you want to try me, cool. Okay, I got the references.
Well,
I can back everything up
well,
that I say. So
I want
you know,
us to focus on where we agree and then move the world forward on that. Because if we focus on where we disagree, we can find a million. It's like a relationship with a woman, right?
no, yeah, you're right.
You can
You're
be
right.
with a partner that nitpicks with everything, or you can be with a partner that looks for the good and stuff.
You're
And
right. You're
I
right.
want us to focus on do we agree and where can we work on.
You're right. I just wanted to like, okay, establish like, okay, beware of Islam. They are not your friends.
Well, I'm
Okay, and
agnostic.
maybe,
I don't subscribe to any particular.
maybe, okay, kind of like lock it up. As with the brother Muzone, okay, you didn't know who brother Muzone is or who brother Muzone was.
Yeah, I watched The Wire when it came out. That was like 15 years ago. Like,
Same here. And I still remember, and I still watch it because I have it on my computer, and I watch it pretty much like I don't know every couple of weeks
okay, you're dedicated to
because
that.
I think that that show is absolutely the most insightful and perfect analogy, criticism, and analysis of America, basically. The police, the education system. You remember the later seasons of The Wire?
Yeah, I vaguely remember.
Season 4 and 5 were like more centered on the education, like the education system, the school
Was
system, and
that
what's
when
more.
they broke up the city and every gang had their own section?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
you had several different aspects, like very important aspects of life being explored in such a effective and visceral way, and nobody cared about it. It like kind of like went through the wayside, and then like afterwards is when people started to appreciate it. But even since then, those people were warning about the kind of thing that we're seeing right now. You know, there's a reason why, you know, 20 minutes from here, okay, I live in Waltham, but like 20 minutes from here, I go to downtown Boston. It's a bunch of junkies, bunch of like of all kind of people, and that was not the case. And not only that, that doesn't have to happen. Why? Some people want to keep it up, I guess,
Dude,
because because there is a lot of money to be made in managing the problem. in being like the head or like working in the NGO who deals with the homeless. You get a 6-figure salary working in one of those companies or one of those places or whatever.
Mm. Yeah, the world is full of problems, and we gotta. Let's say save a child, save the world. So I'm just trying to save my one child, trying to save the world, one person. All right, man. It is 1:36. Thank you for joining us. Lots of interesting and controversial takes on here.
I appreciate it. I got a whole lot of other shit. I mean, I took a course with you. I remember. I mean, I've been like the sole watcher every once in a while where you're like on your phone. It's like, oh, who's watching?
Yeah. Who's the one guy? Well, yeah, because I had to figure out how to bring people on and stuff like that. So this was kind of like a free for all.
I don't text. I don't want to get into anyone's business, but that lady just no. I just had to jump in, man.
What lady? Who? Adriana, the one earlier today. Well, maybe we could do a 3-way one day, and then
Okay, man.
we could have.
Okay. I will say one thing. All gun control is racist.
In another topic, we will discuss what gun control means.
Boom.
Okay, because I hear that comment a lot. It makes me question what is gun control. So maybe that'll be an important topic.
Any attempt to deprive a human being from being able to carry a firearm for his defense or the defense of anybody else is gun control.
So
And
preventing violent felons from owning firearms, is that racism too?
what do you mean by violent felons?
I robbed somebody by beating the shit out of them with a brick. Someone called.
Okay. If you robbed somebody before, you gotta be you fucked. No,
Okay,
you can't.
so now we got to change the definition now, right? You said all people. I'm like, well, I don't want everybody carrying a gun.
No.
I can think of a lot of reasons why.
All law-abiding citizens who are not otherwise
Hey,
all law-abiding citizens who have not otherwise.
we can go down that rabbit hole. So does that count to misdemeanors or only felonies? What about non-violent crimes? If I create a fake check or use fake money, does that prohibit me from owning a firearm?
No,
Right?
it depends on no. Apparently, it depends on the jurisdiction. If you're like in Pamela Price's jurisdiction, you will get a hell of a lot different treatment. And she just got carjacked like today or yesterday, was it?
There's always crazy stuff going on.
I shed no tears for those idiots who push for other people to be disarmed while they're still having cops, private security on them, but still like expect us other lowly folk
To fight for our lives.
oh, not even that. They expect us to like run into our house. Oh, like, oh, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna run to my house, and then maybe I can get a bat inside.
Mhm. Craziness. All right, man. Catch us next Friday, 10 to 12 or plus. It's 1:40 a.m.
If
The party ends.
if you're still up for it, yeah, I mean,
Oh no, I'm still up for
I'm
it.
I'm always listening, Pierre.
All right,
I'm
bro.
always listening. I haven't stuck up my hand or like said anything, but
All right. Well, we'll have plenty of opportunities to speak and dialogue and go back and forth. Once I figure out some more structure to this, we'll have a lot of fun.
I appreciate it, and I think yes, you should definitely keep it up and have a discipline to it, and have a a structure. Yes.
Yes, sir.
This can be a very good spot for. I mean, we're behind enemy lines. This state is hostile to your business, to the kind of things that we want, you know. So yeah, absolutely. We gotta stick together, and we gotta like be smart about it. And yeah, if you can have a space where you're like constantly okay, yeah, let's talk about two-way affairs, like openly, like like no taboos, no cancel culture, none of that shit. Let's
Okay.
just talk openly. I
Sounds like a
I
plan.
I, I think a lot of people will gravitate to this, and a lot of people will gravitate to you.
I hope so. We'll see. Time will tell. All
Inshallah,
right, brother. Have a good night. Thank you for tuning in.
and you too.
All right. Have a good night.